Chapter 1699. The Third Elder 3. Arrange for him to enter the forbidden area? Second Elder, you're no longer an elder of the Ning family. Do you still have this right? Lung Ruoxua asked curiously with a smirk on her face. Wretched girl. You're trying to anger me, right? When Second Elder heard Lung Ruoxia's words, he was so angry that he glared and gritted his teeth. What do you think? Lung Ruoxua pretended to be mysterious. That's right, she was doing it on purpose to anger him. Do I need to say it? You're clearly trying to anger me. The Second Elder roared in anger. Actually, he did not think that he was a hot-tempered person. However, every time he faced Lung Ruoxua, he would be angered to the point of stomping his feet. Who asked Lung Ruoxua to have the ability to anger people to death? However, even if I'm not an elder of the Ning family, I'm still one of the few reverent god-level cultivators in the Ning family. No one dares to look down on me. The Second Elder added in anger. I can see that. Lung Ruoxua agreed. If this old man wasn't a reverent god, he wouldn't have been removed from his position as an elder. Those elders would still treat him as the Second Elder. Of course, this was with the exception of some short-sighted servants in the Ning family. Then you don't have any doubts about my words, right? The Second Elder said proudly. I didn't doubt your words at first. Lung Ruoxua blinked her beautiful eyes and said with an innocent look. You. Second Elder was so angry at Lung Ruoxua that he could not speak. He could only open his large eyes and glare at her fiercely. Second Elder, do you want to restore your position? At this moment, Lung Ruoxua released another bait and whispered. Of course I want to. But the master isn't here, and it's not even certain if he'll restore my position. The Second Elder said unconfidently. He had experienced the so-called fickleness of human relationships in the first few days after he was dismissed. However, it had been so long, so he was much calmer. Have you forgotten? Godfather once said that what I say is equivalent to what he says. Lung Ruoxua reminded. You're saying, you're going to restore my position? After Second Elder heard Lung Ruoxia's words, he was extremely agitated and grabbed Lung Ruoxia's wrist tightly. However, when he felt an icy cold gaze shooting towards him, he let go of his hand in embarrassment. I didn't do it on purpose. I was just a little excited. The Second Elder explained in embarrassment. Hehe. I do have that idea, but am afraid that some of the elders will oppose it. Of course, I'm not against you, but am afraid that my words won't have that much of an effect on some of the elders. Lung Ruoxua said calmly. She was giving Second Elder a heads-up in advance. After all, with the current situation in the Ning family, she really needed someone with weight to stand on her side. Even though they didn't have to listen to her every word, they couldn't go against her and drag her down. That's a big problem. The Second Elder said with a frown. The Ning family had been passed down for a long time, and there were naturally many elders. Furthermore, they were involved in many interests, and not all of the elders were of one mind. Thus, it was easy to imagine how much weight Lung Ruoxia's words held in the hearts of those elders. If the family head was here, some of the elders might not dare to oppose Lung Ruoxia's words too obviously. Unfortunately, the family head's whereabouts were unknown. However, this matter concerned his position in the Ning family. Therefore, he would never allow anyone to secretly sabotage him. Second Elder. As for how to communicate with those stubborn elders, that's your problem. Moreover, I'm not afraid to tell you clearly that after you're restored to your position, you must be in agreement with me on this matter. Other than that, you can do whatever you want. Lung Ruoxua thought about it and decided to say the ugly words first. This would be good for both parties. I understand. I'll definitely listen to you. Second Elder promised. Although he didn't dare to say that he completely trusted Lung Ruoxua, at least he wouldn't deliberately go against her. In other words, Lung Ruoxua was slowly subduing him. It was just that he hadn't realized this yet. Then you should settle them first. Lung Ruoxua used her eyes to signal to the elders who were not far away. They don't need to be settled. The Second Elder wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and thought to himself, you've already dealt with those old fogies, so why would I need to go out? He believed that out of all the elders by Lung Ruoxia's side, none of them would dare to oppose her words directly. Since you're so confident, Let's go back to the main residence quickly. When the time comes, we'll wait and see. Lung Ruoxue said softly. And the second elder nodded. Then everyone quickened their pace and walked in the direction of the Ning family's main residence. As soon as they arrived at the door of the main house, third elder came out with some of the Ning family members to welcome them. Second brother. Long time no see. The gray-robed third elder said coldly. Thanks, third brother. I didn't expect you to come out of seclusion. The second elder said, pretending to be surprised. Yup. The third elder nodded and turned to look at Ning Yan. He glanced at him coldly, and then turned to look at Lung Ruoxue. Was this little girl the adopted daughter of the master? She was indeed a rare beauty. However, she was too weak. He couldn't understand why the master would acknowledge such a weak goddaughter and give her such a high status. This fact made him extremely jealous. After all, he was the master's son. However, in the family head's heart, he definitely could not compare to this girl who had no blood relations with the family head. At the thought of this, his gaze towards Lung Ruoxue became colder and colder. There was even a hint of hostility in it. While third elder was sizing up Lung Ruoxue without any restraint, Lung Ruoxue was also sizing him up without restraint. This old man was also a hierarch, but his aura was obviously weaker than the second elder's. As for now, his strength was even less comparable to the second elder's. However, his shrewd eyes were very similar to her godfather's, but when her godfather looked at her, his eyes were gentle, while this third elder's eyes were quite unfriendly. Had she offended him before? Lung Ruoxue's heart was filled with doubt. Little girl. Ning Shaner is his descendant, and he dotes on her a lot. So be careful when you're alone. The second elder suddenly sent a voice transmission to Lung Ruoxue. I know, replied Lung Ruoxue. Then she turned to look at third elder. Could it be that this old man had only listened to Ning Shaner's one-sided story and had already blacklisted her? If that was the case, she could only say that the third elder was an elder who liked to act on his emotions. One had to know that there were different things to protect one's shortcomings. Blindly protecting one's shortcomings would only pamper arrogant and domineering descendants. As time passed, this family would not be far from destruction. You're Lung Ruoxue? Third elder said to Lung Ruoxue after examining her. Yes, I am. Lung Ruoxue nodded and did not continue. I heard that you're quite capable to be able to coax the master to listen to your every word. The third elder said with jealousy. Who did third elder hear this from? How come I didn't know that Godfather always listens to me? Lung Ruoxue's beautiful face was filled with astonishment. Her beautiful eyes widened as she asked in disbelief. Isn't this something that all the Ning family members know? The third elder's mouth twitched as he spoke in an unfriendly manner. Second elder. Did you guys hear that too? When Lung Ruoxue heard third elder's words, she turned to ask second elder and the rest. I've never heard of it. The second elder said very seriously. We've never heard of it either. The other elders hurriedly echoed and looked at the third elder with a hint of resentment. They thought in their hearts. Isn't the third elder trying to harm us? This wretched girl was very vengeful. If they didn't stand on her side, who knew what she would do to them after this? Sob. They were afraid. Have you all been bribed by her? What benefits did she give you to make you speak up for her? When third elder saw second elder and the rest speaking up for Lung Ruoxue, he could not help but roar in anger. Third elder. We're telling the truth. When we left the Ning family, we really didn't hear of such a thing. The seventh elder said with an aggrieved expression. Even though it was true that the family head was biased towards Lung Ruoxue, it was not to the point where he would listen to her every word. Right? Moreover, based on his understanding of Lung Ruoxue, he knew that this girl wasn't someone who didn't know her limits. It was impossible for her to make unreasonable requests of the family head. More importantly, the family head wasn't a fool. How could he allow others to manipulate him? You didn't hear it, but that doesn't mean you didn't hear it. The third elder gritted his teeth in anger. Then he continued. You've come back just in time. The Ning family needs you now. After that, he turned around and walked into the main residence. Seeing this, the second elder and the others sighed and followed him into the main residence. After some slight adjustments, The elders gathered in the meeting hall. However, when third elder walked into the meeting hall and saw Lung Ruoxue, his stern face revealed a trace of dissatisfaction. Our Ning family's elders have important matters to discuss. What is she joining in the fun for? The third elder pointed at Lung Ruoxue and said impolitely. Chapter 1700. Crossing Swords 1. The moment the third elder said this, the elders who had been whispering to each other all fell silent and looked at Lung Ruoxue cautiously. This was especially so for the seventh elder and the others who were familiar with Lung Ruoxue. The more timid ones had already turned pale from fear. The entire meeting hall fell into a dead silence. Can't I come? After a long while, Lung Ruoxue finally spoke with a smile that was not a smile. She couldn't help but think to herself, it seems like third elder is trying to pick a fight with me. This is the first time I've met third elder, so I really don't know how I've offended him. If he really did not like her because of Ning Shan'er, then she would be disappointed in third elder and nothing else. Of course not. Only the acting master, young master, and elders of the Ning family can attend this meeting. No one else is qualified. The third elder said very seriously. Second elder, am I really not qualified to attend this meeting? Lung Ruoxue ignored third elder's words and turned to ask second elder, who was not too far away from her. Miss Lung has special privileges in the Ning family, so she can naturally attend this meeting. The second elder glanced at the third elder as he spoke indifferently. Second brother. You. The third elder looked at the second elder in dissatisfaction, but he was interrupted before he could finish. Third brother. The master said that Miss Lung's words and actions in the Ning family represent him. So if Miss Lung is interested, you can also participate in the Ning family's elders meeting. All the elders here know this. The second elder said helplessly. However, anyone with eyes could tell that his words sounded like a reminder, but they were actually a warning. Second brother. I don't know what the patriarch meant when he said those words, but I heard that you've been stripped of your position as an elder by the patriarch. Is that true? The third elder changed the topic to the second elder. The second elder's face darkened. Not bad. The patriarch dismissed me from my position as an elder. The second elder said with an ashen face. He didn't expect that after so long, the first one to mention this matter would be the third elder. This made him somewhat disappointed. After all, the elders ranked in the top 10 were all brothers who were closer to him by blood. The third elder's words clearly meant that he was not qualified to participate in the family's elder conference. How could he not be angry? Since that's the case, third brother and Miss Lung, please leave the meeting hall together. The third elder's facial features were serious, and his expression did not change. Third brother. Don't forget, I'm still the reverent god of the Ning family. The second elder couldn't help but remind him, his face turning from green to black. Second brother. You're one of the only 8 hierarch in the Ning family, so we'll naturally treat you as well as we did before. However, you're not qualified to participate in this elders meeting. After all, you're no longer an elder of the Ning family. If you participate in the elders meeting, it'll definitely make the clan dissatisfied. The third elder said with a worried look. Actually, he did not want to treat the second elder this way. However, the second elder was on Lung Ruoxue's side. Since that was the case, then the second elder could not be blamed for not considering their brotherhood. Thanks. Is there anyone who's unhappy with me joining the elders guild? After hearing the third elder's words, the second elder glared at the other elders and asked coldly. When the elders heard the second elder's question, they all looked at each other, but no one dared to speak. Fuck. Who would dare to say that they were dissatisfied? With the second elder's temper, whoever said that would die. At this moment, even the elders who were under the third elder didn't dare to say a word, afraid that they would become a tool for the second elder to vent his anger. The second elder might still care about the third elder's friendship, but he would not show any mercy to them. Therefore, no matter how the third elder winked at them, asking them to be cannon fodder, they all lowered their heads and pretended not to see it. Seeing this, the third elder was so angry that his heart was burning with anger. The second elder was obviously much calmer, and he leisurely drank the tea in his hand. It seems like no one is unhappy with second elder's attendance at the elder council. After a long while, Lung Ruoxue said with a faint smile. At this moment, the entire assembly hall was so quiet that one could even hear a pin drop on the ground. When they heard her say this, the entire assembly hall was even more silent. Who says no one is dissatisfied? They're just not in a good position to say it out of respect for the second elder. The third elder said through gritted teeth. Oh. The other elders are too embarrassed to say it in front of the second elder, but the third elder doesn't seem to have this guche. Look at how you're jumping up and down, so happily. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. You. Third elder was so infuriated by Lung Ruoxue's words that his face turned white. His entire body trembled as he pointed at Lung Ruoxue, unable to complete his sentence even after a long time. Upon seeing this, many of the elders could not help but look at Lung Ruoxue with admiration. This was their idol. Of the 3 great elders of the Ning family, other than the great elder who had yet to return, the other 2 could be considered to have fought with Lung Ruoxue. The second elder had suffered a crushing defeat and had become Lung Ruoxue's bodyguard. As for the third elder, he probably would not have a good ending either. Lung Ruoxue had the ability to anger people to death. The 7th elder and the rest agreed with this point. Hence, no matter what they thought of Lung Ruoxue, they would stand firmly on her side. After all, it was very important to choose a side. What? Third elder. Although I'm not a true member of the Ning family, many of the Ning family's clansmen know that Godfather has given me certain privileges in the Ning family. So as long as I want to participate in this elders' meeting, no one can stop me. Lung Ruoxue laughed coldly as she pointed out the truth once again. Words are not proof. I wasn't there at the time, so who knows what the master meant? Maybe you misunderstood. After calming down, the third elder retorted. Third elder's words make sense. However, take a look at what this is. After Lung Ruoxue finished speaking, she took out a token from her bracelet. The moment the token appeared, all the elders in the meeting hall could not help but stand up and bow respectfully to Lung Ruoxue. Their expressions became nervous. This token was the identity token of the Ning family's master. Although she had used it for a while, she had returned it to her godfather later. The reason why this token had returned to her hands this time was because Godfather was afraid that someone in the Ning family would cause trouble for her, so he had lent it to her again. Seeing the token was akin to seeing the family head. Hence, all the elders had to bow to Lung Ruoxue after seeing the token. Even the third elder, who was unwilling, did the same. Otherwise, it would be considered disrespectful to the family head. No clansman could tolerate disrespect to the master. After all, the master of the Ning family was the ancestor and the backbone of the Ning family. At the same time, he was also the idol of the Ning family's thousands of clansmen. No clansman would allow their idol to be blasphemed, or they would be the sinners of the Ning family. Chapter 1701. Crossing Swords 2. Originally, Lung Ruoxue didn't want to take out this token. However, seeing how overbearing third elder was, she couldn't be bothered to waste her breath on him. Hence, she immediately took out the token that represented her identity as the family head. If third elder still insisted on going against her, then he shouldn't blame her for pulling the tiger's skin and raising the flag. This token, where did you get it from? After being stunned for a while, the third elder couldn't help but ask in a trembling voice. Of course it's from my godfather. Do you think I stole it? Or was it stolen? Lung Ruoxue said with a hint of mockery. Miss Lung really likes to joke. The old ancestor is a god venerable. No one can snatch anything from his hands. At this time, the second elder, who was also shocked, said. He had not expected that the family head would give his personal token to Lung Ruoxue. It seemed like the master had a lot of trust in her. However, Lung Ruoxue had never revealed this to any of them, nor had she thought of using this token to force them to submit obediently. When he thought of this, he couldn't help but have mixed feelings. If he had known that Lung Ruoxue had the clan head's token, these elders would have followed her orders obediently. It was a pity that Lung Ruoxue had no intention of using this token to subdue them. This fact made him think even more highly of Lung Ruoxue. This little girl was not simple. The second elder couldn't help but sigh in his heart. The opportunity was obviously extraordinary, but she had no desires or demands. If it were any one of them who had been given this token representing the identity of the family head, they would not be as calm and composed as she was. In reality, what he didn't know was that Lung Ruoxua had treated this token as an ordinary token. In fact, from her point of view, this token could only be used to scare the Ning family, and didn't seem to be of much use to anyone else. Hence, unless it was a critical period, she wasn't willing to use it to intimidate others. Do any of you think that this sign is fake? Lung Ruoxua nodded her head slightly after hearing second elder's words, then asked. Lung Ruoxia's question caused the elders present to wipe the cold sweat off their foreheads. They were all thinking, who would dare to lie through their teeth? As soon as the token was shown, they could sense it. If they insisted that the token was fake, would the family head spare them if he knew? Third elder, do you think this token is fake? Seeing that none of the elders answered her, Lung Ruoxua had no choice but to call out names personally. This brand is real. The third elder suppressed his anger and cursed in his heart. What did Lung Ruoxua mean by this? There were so many elders present. Why did they only ask him? Did he think that he was easy to bully? The more he thought about it, the angrier he got. His expression also turned gloomier. As for the other elders, other than occasionally giving him a look of pity, they did not even dare to breathe loudly, afraid that they would attract Lung Ruoxia's attention. Are you sure, third elder? Lung Ruoxua asked worriedly. I'm sure. The third elder gritted his teeth as the veins on his forehead throbbed. This was enough to prove that he was on the verge of exploding. The elders looked at third elder, who was suppressing his anger, then at Lung Ruoxua, who was calm and composed. They kept praying in their hearts that third elder would not be provoked. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Since third elder is so sure, then I can be at ease. Lung Ruoxua glanced at the elder's expressions and laughed in her heart. She then asked, I heard that this family head token has great power in the Ning family. Seeing the token is like seeing the family head, right? Do you really not know, or are you just pretending? Hearing Lung Ruoxia's words, the third elder roared in anger. Fuck. He didn't believe that Lung Ruoxua didn't know what this token represented. If that was the case, why would she show them this token to scare them? Of course I know, but I'm asking you guys now. Lung Ruoxua said in an infuriating manner. Thanks, that's right. Seeing the token is the same as seeing the patriarch. The third elder's face was as black as ink as he replied in an unpleasant tone. Then with this, you all have to listen to me, right? Lung Ruoxua continued to ask. What? What's with this score? After all, this is a critical period, and we have to be responsible for the Ning family. The third elder had wanted to say of course, but he changed his mind when he remembered that the master's whereabouts were unknown. In that case, even if I have this token in my hand, it's not of much use to you? Lung Ruoxua said with a half-smile. It's not useless, but it depends on the matter. If the matter involves too many people, please forgive us for not being able to follow orders. The third elder said in a righteous manner. Third elder, do you even know what you're saying? Lung Ruoxua asked with a cold smile. Of course I know. The third elder said without fear. Do you all think the same as the third elder? Lung Ruoxua laughed, then looked at the other elders with her eyes half closed. Miss Lung, the Ning family's rules state that seeing the master token is the same as seeing the master himself. So we'll definitely act according to Miss Lung's instructions. The seventh elder said after receiving the second elder's signal. Seventh brother, don't you know what's going on? How can we listen to an outsider when the master is not here? The third elder roared in jealousy and anger. Third elder, Miss Lung is not an outsider. She is the goddaughter of our master, which means she is our sister. Moreover, her status is recognized by the old ancestor. If we don't acknowledge it, then we are going against the master. I can't afford to bear the consequences. The seventh elder said fearfully. His words received the support of many other elders. Of course, most of them were elders who had gone to the godly mainland with them, and had gone through many hardships together. You. The third elder looked at the seventh elder in exasperation. while the seventh elder glared back at him fearlessly. The two of them stared at each other for a long time. In the end, it was Lung Ruoxue who interrupted their affectionate gazes. Third elder, I know that you're doing this for the Ning family wholeheartedly. Moreover, please don't worry. The master of the Ning family is my godfather, and has always loved me. I will never do anything to harm the Ning family. So instead of having time to go against me, you might as well go back to the Forbidden Land and cultivate. After all, you hierarch elders are the pillars of the Ning family. Only if you live well will the future of the Ning family be more promising. Lung Ruoxue chuckled. She had first praised Third Elder before revealing her motive. Her following words had also infuriated Third Elder. Fuck. Third Elder cursed in his heart again. He finally understood what Lung Ruoxue was trying to say. She clearly wanted him to get lost and return to the Forbidden Land, and not interfere with the Ning family's affairs. How was this possible? Since he had already come out of seclusion, he naturally wouldn't easily go into seclusion to cultivate again. Not to mention, the Ning family's current situation didn't allow him to leave it alone. Miss Lung, since you can come to the divine world, you must already know the Ning family's current situation. Do you think it's appropriate for me to go into seclusion now? Or do you think that you can solve the Ning family's internal and external problems with your own strength? The third elder sneered as he questioned, throwing the question back to Lung Ruoxue. Chapter 1702, Crossing Swords 3. I think it's very appropriate for you to go into seclusion right now. Besides, I'm not arrogant enough to think that I can solve the Ning family's current problem. Lung Ruoxue laughed lightly and said in a calm manner, Since you can't solve it yourself, what makes you think it's appropriate for me to go into seclusion now? The third elder roared in anger. From his point of view, Lung Ruoxue was clearly here to cause trouble. To think that Ning Yuan and Ning Haolon had agreed to let someone inform Lung Ruoxue of this matter. Now he was glad that he had stopped their decision. However, who knew that Ning Yan would secretly run out and bring Lung Ruoxue to the divine world? However, he did not agree to this. Therefore, if something really happened to the Ning family, he would not be the one to be the sinner of the Ning family. It doesn't matter if I can't solve it myself. Don't I still have the help of the second and seventh elders? They've been in contact with the Ning family's affairs for so many years, so their ability to handle things must be above yours. With their help, what are you worried about? Lung Ruoxue asked indifferently. Second elder is no longer an elder of the Ning family, so naturally he can't interfere with the Ning family's affairs. Gritting his teeth, the third elder took a few more deep breaths before replying. Right now, he could only make an issue out of the second elder. Oh really? Then I'll restore the position of second elder right now. Do you have any objections? Lung Ruoxue's beautiful eyes swept across the elders present as she asked in an extremely cold tone. At this moment, the second elder's deep eyes swept across the elders, scaring them so much that no one dared to make a sound. Actually, they were in a difficult position. If they agreed with Lung Ruoxue's words, they would definitely offend the third elder. If they disagreed with Lung Ruoxue's words, the person they would offend would be Lung Ruoxue. Lung Ruoxue might be a powerful dragon, but third elder was a local tyrant. Since ancient times, it had been difficult for a powerful dragon to suppress a local snake. Hence, it was difficult for them to answer this question. After all, it was not a wise move to offend Lung Ruoxue or the third elder. Hence, they could only remain silent. Since no one objects, that means they agree. Lung Ruoxue nodded in satisfaction. Wait. They didn't even say anything. How could they agree? The third elder quickly stopped him. But they didn't object, did they? Moreover, everyone knew that silence meant consent. Did he want to treat their silence as a silent protest? If that's the case, I'll have to make them give me a reason. Lung Ruoxue said stubbornly. Elders. The third elder has an opinion, so don't keep silent. Tell me your thoughts. Lung Ruoxue urged again. I don't have any objections. The seventh elder was the first to speak. I have no objections either. The elders who had returned from the godly mainland with them all expressed their opinions. These elders made up about half of the elders present, so their words carried a lot of weight. What about you guys? Lung Ruoxia's gaze then swept towards the other elders. These elders who were left behind in the Ning family were basically the type who would only listen to orders. Their strength was that they were obedient. However, its biggest weakness was that it was obedient. To put it bluntly, it didn't have its own opinions and just followed the crowd. Hearing Lung Ruoxia's question, a few of the more timid ones immediately expressed their agreement. As for the elders who had yet to express their agreement, when they saw the situation and received the message from the second elder, Qiubo, they nodded their heads like pounding garlic. When the third elder saw this, his heart was filled with hatred. However, he was even angrier that these elders were fence-sitters. Under Lung Ruoxia's threats and promises, all of them had agreed. In this case, if he were to object, he would have offended the second elder badly. Knowing the second elder's vengeful personality, the third elder was naturally unwilling to face the second elder's anger directly. Therefore, he had no choice but to agree. Since all the elders have agreed, then I have no more objections. As he said this, the third elder was so angry that he was about to vomit blood. It seemed like Lung Ruoxia really lived up to her reputation. He was really a troublesome fellow. Second elder. All the elders present have agreed. From now on, your position as the second elder is restored. Lung Ruoxia immediately announced the moment the third elder finished speaking. She had not expected that restoring the second elder's position would be so much easier than she had imagined. However, she was well aware that this was definitely not due to her efforts. Miss Lung, now that the Ning family is in a critical period, I should take on the responsibility as the second elder of the Ning family. However, the elders present are only a part of the Ning family, after all. Some of them have not returned yet, and the master has not truly agreed to this matter. I think I'd better take over the position of the second elder for the time being and wait for the master to come back to make a decision. The second elder thought for a moment and said, it wasn't that he was being unreasonable and didn't want to restore his position as an elder, but he didn't want to leave others with a chance to gossip. Therefore, he also played hard to get. Thanks, second elder is really reasonable. Let's do as second elder says. However, even though the second elder is only a temporary substitute, his power and status are still above yours. The second elder will still be in charge of the elder council, unless the great elder returns. Lung Ruoxia chuckled as she added. Yes. The elders did not have any doubts about this. In fact, they were used to being controlled by the second elder. Third elder. I don't know how much you know about Godfather and the others, but you should report it to us. After the second elder's matter was settled easily, Lung Ruoxia turned her gaze towards the depressed third elder. Didn't Ning Yan already tell you? The third elder was a little angry. Fuck. His position in the Ning family, besides the master, was second only to the first elder and the second elder. This kind of small matter of reporting actually had to be done by him. Just thinking about it made him feel angry. This Lung Ruoxia was clearly treating him as a messenger. Ning Yan said what he said. Now we want to hear what you have to say. You know, the same words come from different people, and they have completely different meanings. So, we want to hear your opinion. Lung Ruoxia laughed evilly. What's wrong? Have you forgotten, third elder? Lung Ruoxia asked with a smile when she saw third elder not uttering a word and only frowning at her. I didn't forget. The third elder gritted his teeth in anger. This woman was really more than just detestable. He had lived for so long, but he had never been angered to the point of being speechless. Yet Lung Ruoxia had done it. Then tell me. Lung Ruoxia picked up the teacup on the table beside her and took a light sip. I'm not the first one to know about this. If you want to hear it, I'll repeat it to you. The third elder said. His words were said with great skill, and were also very cunning. This was because he had also heard it from someone else. If Lung Ruoxia wanted to find fault with him, she would naturally not be able to find him. If you're just repeating it, then you'd better not say it. However, I'd like to know how third elder, who is in seclusion, found out about this? Lung Ruoxia asked curiously. Of course someone informed me. The third elder's face turned red with anger as he huffed. Which one of you informed third elder? Hearing third elder's words, Lung Ruoxue did not directly ask him who that person was. Instead, she asked the other elders present, "Does it matter who it is?" The third elder roared in anger. He couldn't understand what Lung Ruoxue meant. He was confused. "It's not that important. I'm just curious." Lung Ruoxue explained indifferently. Actually, this matter could be said to be important or not important. It all depended on how she saw it. The reason why she wanted to get to the bottom of this was because she felt that third elder's exit from his closed-door cultivation was a little strange. Among the elders who were in closed-door cultivation, only third elder had come out. No one had informed the other elders. This was a little unbelievable and illogical. "Miss Lung, we didn't inform third elder." At this time an elder spoke. "Oh, why didn't you send someone to inform them?" Lung Ruoxue asked in confusion. Furthermore, she was referring to them. Because the patriarch once said that unless it's a matter of life and death for the family, no one is allowed to disturb the elders who are in seclusion. Although 2 elders have died and the patriarch's whereabouts are unknown, the patriarch and the others have not died, so we can't panic. More importantly, if they all come out of seclusion, it will cause panic and suspicion in the family. We can't take that risk. The elder explained, and at the same time he secretly wiped the cold sweat on his forehead. It could be seen how nervous he was at this time. "So that's how it is. Third elder, what do you say?" After hearing the elder's words, Lung Ruoxue asked about third elder. "I have nothing to say. They were not the ones who informed me, but I will not tell you who it was." The third elder said directly. He finally understood Lung Ruoxue's meaning. However, he would not let her have her way. Chapter 1703. The Ning family is not safe. 1. When Lung Ruoxue heard third elder's words, she only smiled indifferently and did not say anything else. This was all within her expectations. However, even if third elder was not willing to say it personally, it did not mean that she would not know. After all, she still had Qingju to help her. However, it was still difficult for Qingju to read a reverent god's mind. She naturally wouldn't let Qingju take the risk, so she turned her attention to the others. It didn't matter if she couldn't find out from the third elder. Someone would eventually reveal some clues. Second elder. "We've been on the road for so long and haven't had a good rest. I think we'll stop here for today. The meeting will continue the day after tomorrow at this time." Lung Ruoxue suddenly turned to the second elder and said. Her sudden words caused all the elders present to be stunned. They were all confused. What the hell was this eldest young miss doing? This meeting had been going on for half a day, and other than restoring the position of the second elder, it seemed that no results had been reached. Furthermore, the second elder and the others had not expressed their opinions on the matter of going to the mystic realm. The meeting ended just like that? The elders' faces were filled with disbelief. Actually, when the second elder and the others heard her words, they were also a little confused. However, out of their trust in Lung Ruoxue, they did not say much. We do need a good rest." The second elder nodded his head in cooperation. After he finished speaking, he was the first to lead the way out of the meeting hall. After that, Lung Ruoxue also walked out. This time, she didn't stay in the forbidden area in the back mountain, but in the Ning family's best guest courtyard, Ningzi Yuan. As its name suggested, the Ningji garden was elegant and unique. The scenery was beautiful, and the garden was complete with mountains, rocks, and flowing water. The entire garden was very spacious, very suitable for them. And this was also specially arranged for them by the second elder, and the others who understood their preferences. After returning to Ningji garden, Lung Ruoxue had just entered the garden when she saw an uninvited guest loitering around in the garden. To be more precise, he was loitering around the evildoer who was sitting on a stone chair in the garden. Her 4 maidservants were guarding the evildoer's side, as if they were facing a great enemy, not willing to let the uninvited guest take even half a step closer. Seeing this scene, Lung Ruoxue almost laughed out loud. Haha. Her maidservant was really too cute. "What's up? Do we have guests?" Lung Ruoxue walked closer and asked knowingly. "Miss, where did the guest come from?" "It's just an uninvited guest," Grape said unhappily. Her beautiful little face was puffed up with anger. When she saw Lung Ruoxue, her face lit up with joy, as if she was relieved. It was a good thing that Miss had returned. Otherwise, they were really afraid that they wouldn't be able to keep an eye on this thirsty woman in front of them. One had to know that if it weren't for the four of them, this woman would probably have already pounced on Miss Man. Why did young Miss Man look so devilish? Isn't this luring people to commit a crime? She couldn't help but curse in her heart. Oh, Lung Ruoxue nodded her head lightly. At this moment, the evildoer stood up from the stone chair and walked towards her with a faint smile. He pulled her into his arms and hugged her. "Schwer baby, why did you only come back now? I've missed you so much," the demon said in a numb voice. When Lung Ruoxue heard the evildoer's words, she wiped the cold sweat off her forehead and thought to herself, what is this evildoer trying to do? Even if it was an act, there was no need to be so mushy, right? She felt goosebumps all over her body, but she still cooperated and said, "Be good. I'm already very fast. The meeting hasn't even ended, and I've already urged them to end the meeting and ran back without stopping." The moment she finished speaking, Lung Ruoxue felt the hair on her body stand on end. However, in front of outsiders, she could not let anyone see through her. The conversation between the two of them made the uninvited guests burn with jealousy, while Green Peach and the other three were so shocked that their jaws almost fell off. Was this their young miss and future son-in-law? Did these two take the wrong medicine? Otherwise, how could he say such terrifying words? Damn it. Let him go. Before Green Peach and the other three could finish sighing in their hearts, the uninvited guests couldn't bear it anymore and roared. Her originally beautiful face was so jealous that it was almost distorted. "Wasn't this the 9th young mistress of the Ning family? I heard that you've been locked up. How come you're out so quickly?" Seeing the uninvited guest turn around, Lung Ruoxue pretended to be surprised and asked. Actually, she could tell that this person was Ning Shaner from her back. However, she was too lazy to bother with her, so she pretended not to recognize her. "Thanks, damn it. Quickly release him." Ning Shaner pointed at Lung Ruoxue and roared. Her beautiful eyes were burning with jealousy, and her hatred for Lung Ruoxue was even greater. That damned woman. She was really rubbing it in. She had finally been released by her great-grandfather, and was not willing to think about being locked up at all. Her clansmen did not dare to mention this matter in front of her. She did not expect that this damn woman would uncover her scars the moment they met. This was really preposterous. If young Master Yi wasn't present, she would definitely rush up and teach this annoying woman a lesson. However, in front of young Master Yi, no matter how angry she was, she couldn't touch that woman. She was really aggrieved. Is 9th young mistress talking to me? Lung Ruoxue's beautiful eyes widened, her face filled with disbelief. Nonsense. If I'm not talking to you, who else can I talk to? Ning Shaner was furious because she felt that Lung Ruoxue was playing dumb. But he was the one who hugged me. Lung Ruoxue reminded him as if she was looking at an idiot. Then you won't come out of his arms. Ning Shaner was momentarily at a loss for words, but she still requested unreasonably. Why would I do that? Lung Ruoxue's face was filled with question marks. She blinked her beautiful eyes and asked shamelessly. Because he's mine. Ning Shaner shouted shamelessly. Oh really? When did this happen? How come I didn't know about it? The doubt on Lung Ruoxue's face grew bigger and bigger. In the end, it all turned into conflict. I don't know. The demon also said. Lung Ruoxue and the evildoer looked at each other. Then, both of them turned to look at Ning Shaner, looking at her with a puzzled expression. Young Master Yi. She's not good enough for you. You'll find out my good side sooner or later. When Ning Shaner saw that Yi Chun was not giving her any face at all, she was both angry and resentful. She was angry because Yi Chun did not know how to take care of a woman, and naturally, she hated Lung Ruoxue. After she finished speaking, Ning Shaner left the garden angrily with her maidservant. Miss, I'll go and order the guards at the door to not let this woman in again. After Ning Shaner left, Grape said with a look of disdain. No need, if she really wants to come in. The guards at the door will not be able to stop her. I'm afraid they would not dare to stop her. Lung Ruoxue said. If she had not guessed wrongly, the one who gave the order to release Ning Shan from confinement should be Third Elder. With Third Elder backing Ning Shan up, no one in the Ning family would dare to offend her. Chapter 1704. The Ning family is not safe too. Then what should we do? This woman is too annoying. If she comes to us every 2 or 3 days, we'll be dead. Grape complained. Isn't Ning Shan here just to relieve our boredom? I was just afraid that you would be bored. With her here, you can do whatever you want to her, but one thing, don't play her to death. After all, we have to give the Third Elder some face. Lung Ruoxue reminded with a smile. Since they dared to provoke her, they had to be prepared to pay the price. One had to know that it wasn't that easy to steal her things. With Miss words, what do we have to be afraid of? Hearing Lung Ruoxue's words, Grape was happy. Previously, she was afraid that she would not be able to control herself and want to beat Ning Shan up, causing trouble for Miss. That was why she did not want Ning Shan to come here. Otherwise, what if she could not control herself and attacked one day? In the past, she was not as powerful as Ning Shan, so she might have been a little weaker. However, now that she was a monarch god like Ning Shan, what was there to be afraid of? And since Miss had said so, she was even less afraid. At this moment, Grape had not realized that ever since she got together with Lung Ruoxue and the others, her personality had undergone a huge change. She had become more and more courageous, and gradually, she had an aura of not being afraid of anything. All of this was a good start. Even if I didn't say that, you don't have to be afraid of her. As long as you don't cause trouble, you'll bear all the consequences. Lung Ruoxue said with certainty. Miss is so nice. Grape was overjoyed, and a smile appeared on her face. Of course she's good to her own people. Suddenly, a deep voice cut in between them. Lung Ruoxue turned around and saw Second Elder and the rest standing at the entrance of the garden. They were looking at them helplessly. It was likely that these old men had heard a lot of what she had said. Second Elder, why are you guys here? Lung Ruoxue was a little puzzled. The meeting was over, so why did these old men come to her place instead of returning to their rooms to rest? Could it be that he's here for dinner? Looking at the sky, it was indeed late. Of course we have something to talk to you about. The Second Elder was a little speechless. It seemed that they were not very popular. Oh, what's the matter? Lung Ruoxue was curious. We want to discuss the meeting the day after tomorrow. By the way, why didn't you say your thoughts at the meeting just now? The Second Elder was a little puzzled. If they had told him their plan just now, they wouldn't have to hold the meeting the day after tomorrow. We have to give Third Elder some mental preparation. Otherwise, I'm afraid he won't be able to take it if he's hit by so many blows. Lung Ruoxue asked worriedly. However, her words were clearly unable to convince Second Elder and the others. They were all staring at her with a look of disdain. Their expressions seemed to be saying, "How could you be so kind? Little girl, you saw the situation in the assembly hall today. I'm afraid Third Elder won't agree to this." The Second Elder asked worriedly. This was also the main reason why he had come to look for Lung Ruoxue. He could tell from today's meeting in the conference hall that while they were not in the Ning family, the Third Elder had won over the hearts of many elders. Although not all of them were completely loyal to him. Even if one of the elders did not agree to their plan, if something happened in the future, these things would become something that could be used against him. Therefore, he was in a dilemma. This matter is not up to him. Lung Ruoxue said unyieldingly. She had already thought it through. If Third Elder insisted on not obeying her, she would lock him up. Anyway, she was not afraid of that old man. So what if he was a reverent god-level expert? The Divine Lord would also have to listen to her arrangements. What do you plan to do? The Second Elder's heart was palpitating. Lung Ruoxue's words had scared him. However, he was still very curious as to how Lung Ruoxue would deal with the Third Elder if he did not approve of their plan. If he doesn't listen, they'll send him to the fantasy sky and make him pay for your special training. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. That's a good idea. The Second Elder wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. He was actually hoping that the Third Elder would not agree. If that was the case, they could be considered to be going through this together. Thanks, I knew you would agree. Lung Ruoxia's face was filled with understanding. However, her words caused second elder to blush. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxia did not tease him anymore. Instead, she directly asked him to leave. It's getting late, you should all go back and have a good rest. There's going to be a great battle the day after tomorrow. After she finished speaking, she pulled the demon back to her room, leaving the second elder and the others dumbfounded. They were being chased out just like that? Lung Ruoxia, that stingy servant, didn't even give them a sip of water to drink. She's really too much. The second elder and the others couldn't help but grumble in their hearts. Second elder, why aren't you guys leaving? Don't tell me you want to stay for dinner. I'm sorry. We didn't prepare anything for you. Seeing the second elder and the others standing there stupidly, Grape could not help but ask, well, take our leave. The second elder's face was black as he quickly said, but his heart was constantly complaining. Really, like master, like maidservant. These maidservants were all the same as Lung Ruoxia. They didn't know how to respect the elderly at all. They had really gone too far. The second elder and the others left resentfully. As they watched their backs, Grape and the others could not help but reveal a knowing smile. They were doing it on purpose. Although second elder and the rest were very obedient now, they still had a long way to go to get their approval. 2 days later, the elders gathered in the meeting hall again. This time, Lung Ruoxia brought the evildoer along. In the words of the evildoer, Schwerer, you have to protect me. If you're not by my side, what if that annoying woman comes to harass me again? Left with no choice, Lung Ruoxia could only bring along this huge burden. When third elder walked into the meeting hall and saw Lung Ruoxia, his expression immediately turned ugly. However, when he accidentally saw the handsome man who was leaning against Lung Ruoxia, his face turned black. Lung Ruoxia, who is the man beside you? The third elder took a few deep breaths and questioned in a cold voice. He's my husband. Lung Ruoxia replied with a smile. To outsiders, she always referred to evildoers as her husband to avoid unnecessary trouble. This is the place where the Ning family discuss matters, not a place for you and your wife to play. Why did you bring a man in? Third elder was a little angry. At this moment, Lung Ruoxia's image in his heart had become an absurd and lecherous woman. Otherwise, why would she bring a man along to a meeting? I can't not bring it in. The Ning family isn't safe. Someone will harass him. Lung Ruoxia said helplessly. Hearing her words, second elder and the rest felt extremely embarrassed. They glanced at third elder with a hint of sympathy and couldn't help but sigh in their hearts. Why did all the elders of the Ning family become so agitated after seeing Lung Ruoxia? The third elder had once again bumped into the other party's muzzle. However, sympathy was sympathy, but they didn't dare to speak up for third elder, who asked third elder to dig this pit himself. You can't blame anyone else. Chapter 1705. The Ning family is not safe 3. The elders sat in their seats calmly and drank their tea, ready to watch the show. It was not that they were disloyal and did not care about third elder's safety. It was just that they had fought Lung Ruoxia many times and had never won. Hence, they were all hoping that someone like this would appear in the Ning family to kill Lung Ruoxia's spirit. However, it was unrealistic for them to place their hopes on third elder. The Ning family is not safe? Can you repeat that? When third elder heard Lung Ruoxia's words, he squinted his eyes and said unhappily, "This damned girl actually dared to say that the impregnable Ning family is not safe. How preposterous! If even the Ning family was not safe, then who else in the divine realm could be safe?" The moment he heard the words "the Ning family is not safe," he was burning with rage. Hence, he did not take Lung Ruoxia's words of harassment to heart. The Ning family is not safe. Otherwise, why would my man feel so insecure and only feel at ease when he's with me? Lung Ruoxia chuckled. He's too useless. The third elder said with a look of disdain. A man who relied on a woman to protect him was a man who lived off a woman. Therefore, he looked down on the evildoer from the bottom of his heart, especially that extremely handsome face of the evildoer, which further confirmed his characteristic of living off a woman. Schwer, who was this old man? Why are you so fierce? The evildoer tugged at Lung Ruox's sleeve with a face full of fear as he spoke with tears welling up in his eyes. Sparkling and translucent teardrops swirled in his ink-black eyes. His current cowardly appearance had made Third Elder look down on him even more. He's the third elder of the Ning family, don't be afraid. With me around, he won't dare to bully you. Lung Ruoxue could only helplessly cooperate when she saw the evildoer pretending to be weak. When Second Elder and the rest saw the evildoer's appearance, they were so frightened that their little hearts were trembling. If they weren't sitting down right now, they might have run away in panic. Fuck. This couple was really too despicable. They were obviously sinister and cunning, but they pretended to be pure little bunnies. Weren't they harming people? And this time, the victim would be their third elder. However, despite their sympathy, the second elder and the others didn't dare to expose this terrifying black-bellied man. Otherwise, they would be the unlucky ones. Shwe, the Ning family is too dangerous. Would better leave this place as soon as possible. The demon said softly. However, his voice was so soft that all the elders present could hear him clearly. Damn it. How was the Ning family not safe? You better explain it to me clearly. When Third Elder heard them say that the Ning family was not safe, he was already furious. Until now, this hateful couple had not said where the Ning family was not safe, so his patience had run out. There's a shameless woman in your Ning family who's been having ideas about my man. She's been harassing him every 2 or 3 days, and he's been so annoyed. We can't hit or scold that woman, so I could only bring him here to hide. I think that woman wouldn't dare to come here. Lung Ruoxue said uncertainly. However, she finally told him the reason why the Ning family was not safe. The moment Third Elder heard the reason, he was so angry that he almost fainted. So it was such an unsafe method? These two hateful guys didn't make things clear earlier, causing him to misunderstand. But who was that woman? She had really lost all the face of the Ning family. The Third Elder's expression changed again and again. He couldn't help but think to himself. He had never liked women who chased after men. He felt that women like that had no self-respect. He had always thought that the Ning family's upbringing was very strict, and that the daughters of the Ning family were all beautiful, and didn't worry about getting married. Therefore, after hearing Lung Ruox's words, he felt his face heat up. He had never dreamed that the Ning family would have such a shameless daughter, who would pester a married man. If that married man was an indomitable strong man, he might not be so angry. However, that man was a pretty boy who relied on a woman to protect him and lived off a woman. This was a fact that he could not accept. Just as he was secretly thinking about what kind of punishment he should give to the daughter of the Ning family who was chasing this pretty boy, suddenly, a sweet voice rang in his ear. Great-grandfather. Ning Shan, who was standing at the entrance of the meeting hall, called out softly with an obedient expression. Hearing this voice, the Third Elder turned around and smiled kindly. Why did Shan come? This is the meeting hall, not a place you can come to. Go back. Seeing Third Elder's friendly attitude, Lung Ruoxue scoffed in her heart. This was really a difference in treatment. When this Third Elder was facing them earlier, he had a fiendish look on his face. Now when he saw Ning Shan, he had turned into an amiable old man. However, she was very curious. If the Third Elder knew that the shameless woman of the Ning family who was pestering the evildoer was Ning Shan, would he still treat Ning Shan with such affability? Great-grandfather. I'm here to find someone. Ning Shan said shyly. The reason why she dared to come here was because of the Third Elder's love. Looking for someone? The person you're looking for isn't here. Go back quickly. The Third Elder raised his face and pretended to be angry. Great-grandfather. I'm here to look for young Master Yi. Please let him leave with me. Ning Shan shamelessly requested. Thanks, young Master Yi. The Third Elder's face was filled with question marks. Where was this young Master Yi? Just as Third Elder was feeling bewildered, Lung Ruoxue explained. Ninth young mistress, you're so bold. She's chasing someone else's man all the way to the meeting hall. It looks like there's no safe place in the Ning family. Lung Ruoxue sighed. Shan, you. The young Master Yi you're looking for is him? After hearing Lung Ruox's words, even if Third Elder was stupid, he still understood. He pointed at the evildoer and asked with a face of disbelief. Yes. Ning Shan-er's cheeks were flushed pink as she lowered her head and responded softly. Bastard. After confirming it, third elder was furious. He raised his hand and immediately, a crisp paw sound was heard. Ning Shan-er's face had been firmly slapped, and half of her face immediately swelled up. Great-grandfather. Why did you hit me? Ning Shan-er stared at third elder in disbelief and asked. Why did I hit you? Our Ning family's face has been completely lost by you, and you still dare to ask why? The third elder was furious. When he had just come out of his closed-door cultivation, he had heard about the matter regarding this descendant. However, after knowing that she might have been drugged, his heart ached more than he blamed her. He had repeatedly warned her to be careful in the future, and not to easily form grudges with others. However, he did not expect that after the matter had finally subsided, this wretched girl would actually chase after a man again. It was a gigolo who lived off a woman. More importantly, that man was Lung Ruoshuas. This fact made him feel even more embarrassed. He had always been concerned about his face, but now he had lost face in front of Lung Ruoshua and the others. How could he not be angry? Moreover, he finally understood why Lung Ruoshua did not explain herself earlier. She knew that Ning Shan-er was a descendant of his bloodline, and wanted to make a fool out of him. And those elders, not a single one of them had warned him. He was filled with hatred. However, now that things had come to this, he could only brace himself and continue. Ning Shan-er wanted to explain, but after seeing the third elder's fierce gaze, she could not say a word. The tears in her beautiful eyes rolled down silently. Men, take her back to her room and look after her. Without my order, no one is allowed to let her out. The third elder did not want to see Ning Shan-er now, so he shouted at the door. Then, 2 guards walked into the meeting hall and took away Ning Shan-er, who was crying like a pear blossom bathed in rain. Upon hearing third elder's order, Lung Ruoshua patted the demon's arm to comfort him. She smiled in satisfaction and said, Ning Shan-er has been grounded again. She's safe now. There's no need to be afraid. Although her words were meant to appease the evildoer, it was completely not the case in third elder's ears. Third elder knew that this damned girl was mocking him and angering him. And the one who caused all this was Ning Shan-er. The more he doted on Ning Shan-er in the past, the more he loathed Ning Shan-er now. This had also determined that Ning Shan-er could not leave his residence in a short period of time. Isn't it time for a meeting? Seeing that the atmosphere was a little oppressive, the second elder, who had been watching the fun, finally spoke. Seeing the third elder's angry face and red neck, he was extremely happy. Even though he was rejoicing in third elder's misfortune, he could still understand third elder's current mood, because he had once felt the same way. It's time for the meeting. We've already wasted a lot of time because of Ning Shan-er. Lung Ruoshua said with a smile. Since there's a meeting, can he leave now? The third elder glared at the demon. It was because of this pretty boy that he had lost so much face in front of Lung Ruoshua. Therefore he was a little angry. No. The Ning family is not safe. Lung Ruoshua still said the same thing. Chapter 1706. The Endless Sea. Hearing this, the third elder's anger was stuck in his chest. He couldn't breathe it out or swallow it down. His heart ached, and the veins on his clenched fists were visible. One could imagine how angry he was. Didn't I already ground Ning Shan-er? What's not safe? The third elder took a few deep breaths and said while suppressing his anger, There are many young ladies in the Ning family. Ning Shan-er won't be the only one who has designs on my man, so it's safest for him to stay by my side. Lung Ruoshua said with a smile. Don't worry. Our Ning family's young lady wouldn't have such bad taste to take a fancy to your man. The third elder gritted his teeth as he cursed in his heart. What did Lung Ruoshua take the daughter of the Ning family for? The young lady of the Ning family would not be so bad at judging people. She would not give up so many outstanding men, and only take a fancy to a pretty boy who lived off a woman. That's not for sure. Isn't Ning Shan-er the best example? Lung Ruoshua smiled calmly. She knew that this old man was no longer calm. Her objective today was to make him lose his cool, so that she could fish in troubled waters. She's an exception. The third elder glared at her and roared. Ning Shan was a descendant of his bloodline, yet Lung Ruoxue was using her as a handle against him. This fact made him both angry and hateful. The love he had for Ning Shan had also decreased. She has a criminal record, and she's not only wooed my man. The young master of the Chung family was also wooed by her, until he didn't even dare to return home. From this, it can be seen that the ninth miss of the Ning family's skills in wooing men have reached the peak. Lung Ruoxue chuckled as she teased. Meanwhile, Cheng Xian, who was resting at Ning Haolan's place, sneezed a few times. Who's talking bad about me? He thought to himself. He suddenly felt a chill down his spine. When third elder heard Lung Ruoxue's words, he felt embarrassed and angry at the same time. It was as if there was a ball of fire burning in his heart, and a suffocating feeling was stuck in his chest, causing him to have no way to vent it. Although he really wanted to argue, his short interaction with Lung Ruoxue made him very clear that what Lung Ruoxue said was most likely the truth. Otherwise, she would not have brought this up. When he thought of this, his resentment towards Ning Shan grew even deeper. Third elder, don't you want to express your opinion? Seeing that third elder was silent, Lung Ruoxue took the initiative to provoke him. I have nothing to say, let's start the meeting. The third elder took a few deep breaths and pretended to be calm. Then let's start the meeting. Seeing that the third elder was suppressing his anger, and no longer mentioned the matter of letting the evildoer leave the assembly hall, Lung Ruoxue decided to stop while she was ahead. After all, she couldn't push this old man into a corner, or it wouldn't do her any good. As soon as they heard that there would be a meeting, all the elders put away their expressions of watching a good show and became serious. Third elder, I heard that you're planning to bring some of the elders to the secret realm? The second elder cleared his throat and said straightforwardly. The reason why he had come straight to the point was because he knew the third elder too well. If he beat around the bush, the third elder's rebellious heart would only grow bigger. Therefore, he could only speak the truth. Thanks, yes I am. The third elder nodded and did not say anything else. However, he was secretly pondering the second elder's intentions. Third elder, I have a different opinion on this. The second elder glanced at the third elder and said, what is second elder's opinion? The third elder sat up straight and spoke with an expression of being taught. Although he would usually call the second elder second brother, at times like this, they would usually address each other by their identity as a sign of respect. I don't agree to you going to the secret realm. The second elder deliberately paused for a moment before expressing his thoughts. The reason why these words came out of his mouth was because of his high status and prestige in the Ning family. If these words were said by Lung Ruoxue, then third elder would definitely be very disgusted. Thus, he could only be the bird that stood out in the direct confrontation with third elder. Second elder, the whereabouts of the patriarch and the others are unknown in the secret realm. How can we just leave them be? The third elder stood up from his seat in anger when he heard the second elder's words. His face was ashen as he coldly said, how can you call this nonchalant? Although patriarch and the others have gone missing in the secret realm, not many people in the divine world know about this, so we must take precautions in advance. Our main task is to protect the clansmen of the Ning family in the domain of the gods, so that people with ulterior motives don't have an opportunity to take advantage of them. Otherwise, if something happens to these clansmen, we won't be able to explain it to Patriarch when he returns. The second elder explained very carefully. Second elder, are you afraid that someone will come to the Ning family to make trouble? You're being too careful. Our Ning family is the leader of the 8 great divine regions. If anyone dares to come, I'll make sure they won't be able to return. The third elder said confidently. Third elder, with so many top forces trapped in the secret realm, we have to be more vigilant. Therefore, I absolutely don't approve of you going to the secret plane. The second elder said worriedly. Second elder, you're over-filtering it. The third elder didn't think much of it. He was extremely confident in the strength of his clan. He didn't think that anyone in the divine realm would dare to come to his Ning clan to cause trouble. Wasn't that the same as courting death? Whether or not I'm over-filtering, I won't allow you to go to the secret realm. The second elder said stubbornly. His words caused the third elder to frown. The third elder did not expect the second elder to be so insistent on this matter. Although he did not know why, he felt that this was not his second brother's usual style. If it was in the past, he would probably be the first elder to suggest bringing people to the mystic realm after knowing that the family head and the others had gone missing. But now he was strongly opposed to this matter. This was really abnormal. No matter how he thought about it, he couldn't think of a reason. Thus, he decided to wait and see. He wanted to see how tough his second brother's attitude could be. However, the second elder's following words were far beyond his expectations. However, I know that you are all worried about the master and the elders of the Ning family, and I am also worried about them, but you'd better think carefully. Even with the master's strength, he was able to go missing inside. If you go, do you have the confidence to bring them out? Let's not talk about whether we can find them or not. If you're also trapped inside, then there's no one left in the Ning family. If someone were to launch a sneak attack at this time, have you thought of the consequences? The second elder said earnestly. His words made all the elders fall into deep thought, and third elder's jaw almost dropped. Fuck. The person who was full of reason was his second brother? This was really too inconceivable. It should be known that his second brother had always given him the impression of being overbearing and impulsive. But now he was telling them such a reason, and it was impossible for them to refute it. Was this person really their Ning family's second elder? Could it have been switched? Chapter 1707. The Endless Sea 2. The third elder peeked at the second elder suspiciously, trying to find some clues. However, after observing him for a long time, he was sure that this was the second brother he had known for many years. He was the real deal. However, he couldn't figure out why his second brother would object to them going to the secret realm. After all, in his heart, his second brother was the one who should be the most approving. Third elder. The master is not here, so our responsibility to the clan is even greater. Therefore, we must guard the Ning family well. This is the most important thing. The second elder couldn't help but remind the third elder after seeing through his thoughts. What about the patriarch and the others? Are we just going to ignore this? The third elder asked. It's not that I don't care, I'm just waiting and watching. I keep feeling that the god world is going to be troubled. Many of the top powers are trapped in that secret realm. If this matter were to spread out, I'm afraid it would bring a shock to the divine world. Some guys who can't see the light might even take the opportunity to jump out and cause trouble. The second elder said worriedly. Second elder, aren't you thinking too much? The third elder felt that the second elder's words were a little alarmist, and the purpose behind this was to prevent them from entering the secret realm. Third elder, we don't want to think about this now. If something really happens, we'll regret it. Therefore, we must prepare for a rainy day and make full preparations in advance, so that we won't be flustered when the time comes. The second elder warned. How about this? I don't want people to say that I'm too overbearing, so let's not argue about going to the secret plane or not. Let's just vote. Miss Lung, please be a witness. The second elder added. Good. I'm honored. Lung Ruoshua nodded. Third elder, what do you think of this idea? The second elder asked the third elder with a smile. They had known each other for many years and understood each other very well. They knew that if they didn't make a decision, the stalemate would continue. Thus they had to cut the Gordian knot quickly. Voting seemed to be the fairest and just method. As for the results of the voting, no one would have any doubts. Good. Let's just vote. The third elder agreed. Although many of the elders present were on the second elder's side, there were also many elders who were on good terms with him. Therefore, he was not afraid of losing the vote. Third elder, you don't have any objections to me being the witness, right? Lung Ruoshua asked. I have no objections. The third elder nodded. Although the votes were anonymous, the results were public and couldn't be faked. Therefore, he really didn't care who was the witness. Then let's start the voting. Just as Lung Ruoshua finished her sentence, Grape and Lotus Seed entered the room. When they saw the two uninvited young ladies, third elder, and the rest were stunned. What was going on? They recognized these two ladies and knew that they were Lung Ruoxia's maidservants. However, what were they doing here at this time? Grape and Lotus Seed handed the papers in their hands to the elders who were sitting. Then, Grape took out a small box that he had prepared earlier from his storage ring and placed it on the table. What is the meaning of this? An elder asked out of curiosity. Elders, after you've finished writing, put the paper into this box. Grape explained. Thanks. Oh, the elder who spoke nodded. They had never seen this before. Although the Ning family had also voted before, they had always written the results directly to the family master or the acting family master, and then they would announce it. This method was unprecedented for them. Is there something fishy about this box? At this moment, third elder asked worriedly. When he saw the box, the anger in his heart rose again. He even suspected that Lung Ruoxia and the rest had prepared this beforehand. Otherwise, why would her maidservant have prepared everything the moment they decided to vote? If third elder is worried, feel free to come forward and check. Other elders who are worried can also go and check, in case you say that I'm manipulating things behind the scenes. Lung Ruoxia said in an understanding manner. The moment she finished speaking, third elder was the first to rush forward without hesitation. The third elder picked up the small box and looked inside and out, but he still couldn't find anything. He suddenly felt a little depressed. It looked like he was being petty, and the other party didn't want to use any means at all. As for the other elders who came forward to check, after carefully examining it, they did not find any flaws and directly returned to their seats. Third elder and the other elders can now rest assured. You guys can start voting. Lung Ruoxia replied calmly. However, she could not help but laugh in her heart. Did third elder really think that she would tamper with the box? In fact, among the elders present, the second elder had looked for most of them in advance and fiercely explained to them. He had also asked them to carefully think about it, and made his position clear, reminding them not to be the Ning family's eternal sinners. As soon as he said this, the elders' minds were in turmoil. Although the second elder did not explicitly ask them to agree with his opinion, his words revealed the same message, which was that whoever agreed to go would be going against him. As such, the elders did not dare to be careless. After close to a day of thinking, Lung Ruoxia was clear that these elders already had a conclusion in their hearts. And now it was time to test second elder's strength. After a while, all the elders had cast their votes and returned to their seats. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxia walked to the voting box. Elders, it's time to announce the results. Lung Ruoxia said with a smile. Then, she took out the votes from the voting box one by one. After all the votes were announced, the final results of the voting were out. There were close to 100 elders present, but the voting results were almost one-sided. Only less than 10 elders were in favor of going to the mystic realm, while the other elders had all voted against it. This result made Lung Ruoxia extremely satisfied. This is impossible. The third elder's face darkened when he heard the result. He glared at the elders beside him with his fiery eyes. However, those elders all lowered their heads and didn't look at him. He understood what was going on. To die. No one wanted to go, especially to an unknown place where their lives could be in danger. These elders who were usually high and mighty, pampered, were not really willing to go with him. Previously, they had been pressured by him and had no choice but to go along with him. Now that the second elder had said that they were not allowed to go to the mystic realm, it was exactly what they wanted. Therefore, the final voting result was like this. AI. Although he was angry, he knew that this was human nature. Why would he want to die? However, if he didn't figure out what happened in the secret realm, and didn't contact the family master and the others, if the news of the family master and the others' disappearance were to spread, people would look down on the Ning family. He insisted on going for the sake of the Ning family's reputation. Chapter 1708. The Endless C3. Third Elder. This result was fair, just and open. Even if it doesn't match your expectations, I hope that you can accept this fact. After all, this is the result of the vote of all the elders present. Do you want to overturn this result by your own strength? Or are you doubting my character? Lung Ruoxia said calmly. If they don't want to go, I can go by myself. The third elder said in a somewhat angry and embarrassed manner. You'll go by yourself? Are you going to die? Lung Ruoxua scoffed. It was not that she looked down on third elder, but with his impulsiveness, he would only be there to make up the numbers. Perhaps, the other party would be more than happy to have another reverent god. You. Third elder's face turned ashen from Lung Ruoxia's words. Am a reverent god. What's wrong with reverent god level? Godfather is also a hierarch, and one of the top hierarch experts. However, he's still trapped in the secret realm. Do you think you can escape unscathed? Lung Ruoxua asked with a faint smile. Even though what she said was the truth, it was rather piercing to third elder's ears. This was because Lung Ruoxua was clearly looking down on him. This fact made him feel a little embarrassed and angry. We won't know if we don't try. The third elder roared in anger. The veins on his forehead were faintly visible. He was already in a state of extreme anger. The second elder saw that the third elder's emotions were a little too agitated, and quickly tried to smooth things over. Third brother. We really can't go to that secret realm. We have to guard the Ning family well. Otherwise, if something happens to the Ning family, we won't be able to explain it to the master. Second elder. It's enough to have you guarding the Ning family. I must go to the secret realm. The third elder said angrily. After he finished speaking, he turned around and left. Looking at the third elder's back, the second elder sighed, his face full of helplessness. Then he turned to the other elders and said, Since the matter has already been decided, then let's not mention the secret realm again. The most important thing for us now is to guard the Ning family well, so that people with ill intentions won't have an opportunity to take advantage of us. Then what about the third elder? The seventh elder said worriedly. Let him be. The second elder said helplessly. The third elder's personality was very similar to his. It was very difficult to change the things that they had decided on. Therefore, even if they stopped the third elder from going to the secret realm, they would not be able to stop him. Let's send someone to keep an eye on him. The seventh elder said in a low voice. I can't even keep an eye on him. There's no need to send anyone. The second elder thought for a moment and said. Then he looked at the elders present and said, There's nothing else, let's end the meeting. As soon as he finished speaking, all the elders stood up and walked out. Just as Lung Ruoxua was about to leave as well, she was stopped by the second elder. Little girl. The second elder said softly. Second elder, what's the matter? Lung Ruoxua asked, puzzled. Why did this old man stop her? I would like to ask when Miss Lung plans to leave. The second elder said, somewhat embarrassed. 3 days later. There are some things I need to prepare. Lung Ruoxua said after some thought. Oh. Then if there's anything you need my help with, don't hesitate to ask, Miss Lung. The second elder said with great enthusiasm. Don't worry. I won't be polite with second elder. Lung Ruoxua promised. Then she left the meeting hall with the demon. The next day, as expected, Lung Ruoxua had sent Fengde to deliver the list of items that second elder needed his help to prepare. Most of them were medicinal herbs, but there were also a few smithing materials. However, when second elder saw the number of medicinal herbs on the list, cold sweat started to drip down his forehead. He regretted it. Why did he say that he would help her yesterday? Now, she had asked him to take out so many medicinal herbs in one go. This time, the Ning family's medicinal herbs warehouse would probably be emptied out by her. However, it was fortunate that Lung Ruoxua only wanted some ordinary medicinal herbs. Otherwise, he would be so depressed that he would buy a piece of tofu and commit suicide. However, even if they were just ordinary medicinal ingredients, the amount was still rather shocking. When he handed the list to the seventh elder and asked him to prepare it, the seventh elder's hands were trembling. Fengde, who was present, saw their uncollected expressions and despised them in his heart. This was just how far away. The leader of the 8 great divine regions. How could such a small amount of medicinal herbs take their old lives? To be honest, if it wasn't for the young miss wanting to prepare more medicinal pills in case of an emergency, they wouldn't have needed to ask the Ning family for this. This was an urgent need. Moreover, it was for the Ning family. How could these old things not understand? The more Fengde thought about it, the angrier he got. In the end, he didn't have a good expression and said coldly, "If the two elders are reluctant to part with these medicinal herbs, I think we should forget about it. We can buy it outside." "Thanks, no. It wasn't he. You've misunderstood. It's just that the amount of these herbs is a little too much, so we have to prepare them now." When the second elder heard Feng Die's words, he was so scared that he quickly said, "How can I let them go out and buy medicinal herbs? What face will the Ning family have in front of them in the future?" What's more, he was doing it for the Ning family, so even if he was reluctant, he had to pay the price. Otherwise, wouldn't their Ning family be ridiculed to death by these people in the future? If that's the case, then quickly go and prepare. My lady needs it urgently. Feng De urged, then turned and left. At this moment, Lung Ruoxue was refining elixirs in the purple bamboo house in her bracelet. Basically, as long as she wanted to get the medicinal pills, she would refine 1,000 bottles. These 1,000 bottles were not the small bottles she had sold to Second Elder and the others. This bottle contained at least 1,000 medicinal pills. Moreover, she had to prepare some medicinal herbs, especially ordinary medicinal herbs, because the amount of ordinary medicinal herbs was generally large. Almost every kind of medicinal pill required a lot of ordinary medicinal herbs as ingredients, so it was really impossible to not have them. When the seventh elder had gathered all the herbs on Lung Ruoxue's list and sent them to her, Lung Ruoxue had just come out of the bracelet. "Miss Lung, these are the herbs you wanted." The moment the seventh elder saw Lung Ruoxue, he immediately passed her the storage ring. "I'll have to trouble you, seventh elder." Lung Ruoxue nodded to express her gratitude. "It's no trouble, Miss Lung. You'll have to make more preparations for this trip to the secret realm. If you have any other needs, just let us know and we'll do our best to find them for you." The seventh elder promised. "I also need a map to the secret plane." With the seventh elder's reminder, Lung Ruoxue finally recalled that they didn't seem to know the location of the mystic realm yet. I'll go get it for Miss Lung." The seventh elder was dumbfounded and wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. In fact, he had also overlooked this matter. Moreover, this was a very important matter. Not long after, the seventh elder returned and passed the map to Lung Ruoxue. Lung Ruoxue unhurriedly opened the map. There wasn't even a single word on the map. However, there was an extremely eye-catching red dot in the middle of the map. That was the location of the mystic realm that had been marked out. "Where is this place?" Lung Ruoxue, who didn't know much about the god world, pointed at the area around the little red dot. "This should be the endless sea. Could it be that the secret realm is on the sea?" The seventh elder said in surprise. It was the first time he had seen the map of the secret realm since he came back. Looking at the shape of the red dot, it looked like the endless sea. "This map is too simple. Do you have a more detailed one?" Looking at the map, Lung Ruoxue felt a slight headache. She was not familiar with the immortal realm to begin with, and now she was given a map that did not even have any key points. Wasn't this making things difficult for her? There's only one type of map to the secret region. However, I can give you a map of the divine realm. The markings on it are more striking." Looking at Lung Ruoxue's conflicted expression, the seventh elder hurriedly said, "I'll have to trouble you, seventh elder." Lung Ruoxue said listlessly, "It's no trouble at all." The seventh elder said with a smile. He had a map of the god world in his storage ring. After he took it out, he gave it to Lung Ruoxue. Lung Ruoxue compared the two maps and finally understood the area around the red dot. Most of the area around the small red dot belonged to the endless sea, and according to her guess, the small red dot should be either on the beach or on the sea, and it had not appeared for a long time. Otherwise, it would not have not been marked on the map. However, according to what she knew, the endless ocean was not a bustling place. There had always been few people there. It would not be easy to discover this secret realm that had suddenly appeared. Thinking about this, Lung Ruoxue's suspicions grew. That's right, didn't the dolphin she took in come from the endless sea? According to the dolphin, it was also an overlord of the endless sea and had many subordinates. Perhaps she should ask the local snake of the endless sea. Thinking of this, she found an excuse to go back to her room, and then directly entered the bracelet. At this moment, The dolphin she was looking for was playing happily under the waterfall behind the purple bamboo house. Moreover, at this moment, it was also in a mimicry state. It looked small and very mini and cute. Master, you're here. The moment Lung Ruoxue walked into the waterfall, a small head popped out of the water. The big, watery eyes stared at her without blinking. There was even a trace of shyness and timidity in the eyes. Chapter 1709. The Mysterious Shadow 1. Little Dolphin, I have something to ask you. Lung Ruoxue went straight to the point. Master, what's the matter? As the little dolphin spoke, it kept splashing water with its tail, having a lot of fun. I want to ask you about the endless sea, Lung Ruoxue said as she stroked the little dolphin's smooth forehead. Hee. Master, you've found the right person to ask me about the endless sea. I was born and raised there, and no one knows that place better than me. The little dolphin said a little smugly, and its watery eyes even revealed a trace of pride. Then do you know that there is a secret realm in the endless sea? Lung Ruoxue asked curiously. A secret realm? There's no secret realm in the endless sea, right? The little dolphin's face was filled with confusion. Are you sure? Lung Ruoxue said with uncertainty. Master, I've been away from the endless sea for several years. When I was there, I was very sure that there was no secret realm there, but I'm not too sure about the situation there now. If Master wants to know, I can go back and investigate. No one is more familiar with the situation there than me. The little dolphin said confidently. There's no hurry. We're going to the endless sea anyway. Lung Ruoxue said after some thought. Our Master is going to the endless sea? Just for the secret realm? The little dolphin's eyes widened as it asked in surprise. Is there a problem? Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but ask when she saw the little dolphin's shocked expression. Of course there's a problem. Master, the endless sea is very far from here. Moreover, even if there is a secret realm there, by the time we get there, I'm afraid that the good things will have been taken away. So we'd better not go. The journey is too far and not worth it. The little dolphin suggested. No one knew better than it how greedy the beasts of the endless sea were. Even if it was a weed, as long as it grew on their territory, it would belong to them. No one was allowed to touch it, so it was not optimistic about the so-called secret realm. Little dolphin, I must go there. Moreover, I'm not going there for the treasures in the secret realm. There's no news of Godfather after he went there, so I must go and take a look. Lung Ruoxue asked worriedly. Oh, I'll go with Master. With me around, the beasts there will have to give me some face. They won't dare to bully their master. The little dolphin promised. Good. Then we'll set off tomorrow. Lung Ruoxue nodded. Hee. I can go home and take a look. I still have a lot of treasures at home. I left in a hurry last time, and didn't have time to bring them. This time, I'll take them all out. The little dolphin chuckled. Don't you beastie always carry your treasures with you? Why did you leave it at home? Lung Ruoxue asked in confusion after hearing the little dolphin's words. As far as she knew, beasts were born with their own storage space. The good things they found would basically be stored inside. As long as they didn't say anything, no one would know what was inside. Therefore, this was the first time she heard that a beast would hide things in his house. Master, you don't know, although our storage space is innate, but the area is not big, so if we have too many things, it's safer to hide them at home. But if our home is occupied by other beasts, then it's hard to say. The little dolphin explained with a smile. So that's how it is. Little dolphin, let's go to your house when we reach the endless sea. Lung Ruoxue chuckled. Thank you, Master. Master, I still have a lot of underlings in the endless sea. Can you bring them here to cultivate? The little dolphin looked up and asked softly. Thanks, they're all beasts of the sea. Will they adapt here? As you know, there's not much water here, and it's not as spacious as the sea. Lung Ruoxue reminded. It doesn't matter. Compared to water, we need spiritual energy more. Therefore, this place is perfect for them. The little dolphin said with certainty. If they are willing to follow you, then let them come. However, since you're here, you have to follow the rules and not make trouble. Lung Ruoxua said the ugly words first, in case something unpleasant happened when the little dolphin's underlings came. Don't worry, master. I'll keep an eye on them. The little dolphin quickly said. As the saying goes, share good fortune with others. Now that it could cultivate in such a good place, it naturally wanted to give its little brothers a good opportunity to cultivate. That's good. Lung Ruoxua nodded, then stood up and left. The next day, Lung Ruoxua and the rest had already made their preparations, and were ready to set off early in the morning. However, before they could leave, the second elder and the others came to Ningziyuan to see them off. Little girls, I wish you all the best. The second elder said with a worried look. Lung Ruoxua had brought her family and subordinates to the mystic realm this time, and he was really worried. However, he could not follow because someone had to hold the fort in the Ning family. Furthermore, other than the elders who had returned from the godly mainland with Lung Ruoxua, the other elders were not aware of this. The reason why he did not tell them was to ensure the safety of Lung Ruoxua and the others. You guys have to be careful too. Lung Ruoxua reminded. We will. Little girl, there's something. The second elder wanted to say something but stopped halfway. He looked at Lung Ruoxua carefully. Seeing the second elder's expression, Lung Ruoxua laughed to herself. Second elder, if you have anything to say, say it. Why are you hemming and hawing? Miss Lung. Third elder left home last night. The second elder said after hesitating for a moment. Oh. Lung Ruoxua replied indifferently, and did not have any other reaction. That's it. The second elder looked at Lung Ruoxua's calm reaction, and stared at her in disbelief. He thought to himself, this little girl is too calm. She didn't even ask me where the third elder is going? In reality, he did not know what Lung Ruoxua was thinking. In Lung Ruoxua's heart, third elder had nothing to do with her, so she could go wherever she wanted. What did it have to do with her? She wouldn't ask about unimportant people and things, so her reaction was so calm. Little girl, if you see him, please take care of him. Although he was surprised, the second elder was stunned for a moment before he spoke his true thoughts. Second elder. The third elder was a reverent god. You're asking a puny deity like me to take care of a reverent god? If this gets out, where would the third elder put his face? Lung Ruoxua reminded him with a smile. Hee. Isn't it normal to take care of each other when we're outside? The second elder said disapprovingly, but he couldn't help but feel disgusted in his heart. You're indeed a puny deity, but which deity has as many tricks as you? Which deity would dare to look down on a reverent god? Even though Lung Ruoxua's abilities weren't high, she was able to create something as abnormal as the fantasy sky, and was determined to go to the mystic realm to investigate. He guessed that Lung Ruoxua must have a way to save her life. Otherwise, with this little girl's slyness, how could she be so overconfident? Chapter 17:10. The Mysterious Shadow 2. Alright then. Since this is second elder's request, then I'll do second elder a favor. As long as I meet him, I'll definitely take care of him. However, if he doesn't appreciate it, then don't blame me. Lung Ruoxua said the ugly words first to avoid any hidden complaints later on. And the second elder nodded helplessly. He was very clear about the third elder's temper. Hence, he also knew that Lung Ruoxua's words were not alarmist talk. The third elder might really not appreciate it. The only thing he could do now was to hope that third elder would not be so stubborn, and not have too much prejudice against Lung Ruoxua. Second elder, if there's nothing else, we'll be leaving. Lung Ruoxua chuckled. Then she could not help but remind him. You have to be careful in the Ning family. Little girl, don't worry. Well, be careful. The second elder promised. Then he led the other elders to personally send Lung Ruoxua to the main residence, and watch them leave. Initially, he had wanted to send a few members of the Ning family to be Lung Ruoxua's guides. However, Lung Ruoxua had rejected his offer. In her words, she only needed the map and did not need any guides. Actually, the reason why Lung Ruoxua rejected the offer was that it was not convenient to bring the Ning family along. After all, if there were outsiders around, they would not be able to enter and exit the bracelet as they pleased. Half a month later, Lung Ruoxua and the rest flew nonstop day and night. Finally, they arrived at the city closest to the endless ocean, 10,000 Maple City. The reason why this place was called 10,000 Maple City was said to be because there was a large number of maple leaves here. Hence the name. Along the way, in order to get to the endless sea as soon as possible, they ate and slept in the open, day and night in the city. Finally, they arrived at the only way to the endless sea, 10,000 Maple City. 10,000 Maple City wasn't big, and there weren't many people inside. They randomly found a hotel and prepared to rest for a while before continuing their journey. The journey from 10,000 Maple City to the endless sea was less than 2 days. Therefore, they decided to rest here for 2 days before heading to the endless sea. However, on the second day of their arrival at 1000 Maple City, they ran into Ning Haolan and Cheng Xian, who were following closely behind them. Lung Ruoxia's head started to hurt when she saw them. Why are these two here? Weren't they supposed to be in their respective families? After all, as the young masters of the family, it was time for them to perform well. However, these two people had followed them and also arrived at 10,000 Maple City. She didn't need to ask to know that these two people definitely wanted to go to the endless sea. Looking at Lung Ruoxia's furrowed brows, Cheng Xian didn't need to guess to know that the two of them, uninvited guests, had been despised. Great Aunt. Cheng Xian's handsome face was bitter, and he said in a soft voice with a slight grievance, "What are you doing here instead of staying at home?" Lung Ruoxia gritted her teeth. "We're here to help." Cheng Xian said, a little embarrassed. "Thanks, help? What can you do to help?" Lung Ruoxia raised her brows and asked, but she couldn't help but feel disgusted in her heart. Could he be here to make things worse? She really didn't have high hopes for these two guys. In fact, the reason why she hadn't caught up with Ning Yan and the others on this trip to the Ning residence was not only because she was pressed for time, but also because she was afraid that someone would insist on following her when she left. As a result, she had simply shut herself in and refused to see anyone. She didn't even let Cheng Xian, who had returned with her from the godly mainland, live in Ning's Yuan. Instead, she had driven him to the old place where he had come to the Ning residence, which was Ning Haolan's residence. However, she was now a little skeptical about her decision back then. "There are many things we can help with, Great Aunt. Please don't look down on us, okay?" Cheng Xian said, feeling wronged. "Oh really? Then can I ask if you can wash clothes or cook?" Lung Ruoxia asked with a smile. When Grape heard her young miss question, she couldn't help but burst out laughing. She thought to herself, young miss is too cute. How could these two young masters do such a thing? Oh, no, he should know how to cook. Otherwise, if he didn't even know how to cook, he would starve to death when he went out for experience. Ignoring Grape's laughter, Cheng Xian and Ning Haolan's eyes widened in disbelief when they heard Lung Ruoxia's words. Could it be that in Lung Ruoxia's heart, they could only do laundry and cook? Did they not have any other use? This fact hurt the pride of the two prideful children. "Well, we know how to cook," Cheng Xian said, unconvinced. However, his voice was pitifully soft when he said this, and it was obvious that he was feeling guilty. "Oh, then is the food that you guys make good?" Lung Ruoxia continued to ask. "I won't starve to death," Cheng Xian said. The food they made was definitely not as good as Lung Ruoxia's. In short, it would fill their stomachs. "You won't starve to death? Are your requirements for food so low? How can you abuse yourself when you're outside?" Lung Ruoxia criticized in dissatisfaction. "We didn't want to do that either, but we're all alone out there, so we can't have such high expectations. So, we'll be satisfied as long as we don't starve to death," Cheng Xian quickly said. In fact, he rarely ate when he went out. If he was really hungry, he would just find a city nearby and eat to his heart's content. Such low requirements. "You don't meet my standards, so you should go home." Lung Ruoxia chased him away impolitely. "Great Aunt, we're already here, don't be like this." Seeing that he was about to be driven away, Cheng Xian could not help but plead pitifully. He never dreamed that such an excuse could be used to drive people away. This was too far-fetched. "I didn't ask you to come. Go home." Lung Ruoxia waved her hand impatiently on purpose. She did not want these two guys to follow her into the mystic realm. Otherwise, if something were to happen, Wouldn't the Ning and Cheng family be in even more chaos? Great aunt. We won't go back. If you don't let us follow you, then we'll go by ourselves. Cheng Xian said disapprovingly. Are you threatening me? Lung Ruoxue squinted her beautiful eyes and glared at Cheng Xian with slight displeasure. It seemed like this fellow had really gotten close to her. He even dared to threaten her. This isn't a threat, it's a fact. We were originally going to the Endless Sea. And now that we've met, and we're acquaintances, we naturally have to go together. However, if you don't welcome us, then we'll just go on our own. Cheng Xian smiled calmly. However, the smug expression on his face made Lung Ruoxue feel like she was asking for a beating. Forget it. You guys should come with us. Lung Ruoxue thought for a moment, and said helplessly. She could tell that this fellow had her in the palm of his hand. He knew that she wouldn't ignore them. This was the truth. She would only be more at ease if she kept these two fellows by her side. Otherwise, if something happened to them in the mystic realm, she wouldn't be able to explain it to her godfather and the Cheng clan head. She would also feel guilty. Chapter 1711. The Mysterious Shadow 3. Great Aunt. Thank you so much. Hearing Lung Ruoxue's agreement, Cheng Xian was very satisfied. Don't thank me yet, I'm not done yet. Since you're coming with us, then whether it's on the road or in the secret realm, you have to listen to me. You're not allowed to doubt my words, can you do that? If you can't do it, then go back as soon as possible. Lung Ruoxue reminded. I can. We can do it. I'll listen to your orders. Cheng Xian quickly said. That's good. You guys can go back to your rooms and rest. We'll set off tomorrow morning. Lung Ruoxue ordered. Yes, yes. Cheng Xian and Ning Haolan nodded. They had been chasing after Lung Ruoxue and the others all this time. They had finally caught up with them after days and nights of non-stop traveling. Now that they thought about it, they were indeed quite tired and needed a good rest. At this thought, the two of them immediately returned to their room. The next day, Lung Ruoxue and the rest continued on their journey. They finally arrived at the Endless Sea in the afternoon. The Endless Ocean, as its name suggested, was unusually wide and had magnificent waves. The Endless Ocean was dark green in color, and waves would rise from time to time. At this time, the Endless Sea seemed calm, but under this calm sea, it was unknown what kind of danger was hidden. Standing on the shore of the Endless Ocean, Lung Ruoxue took the little dolphin out of her bracelet. The moment the little dolphin smelled the aura of the Endless Ocean, it immediately transformed into its original form and jumped into the ocean, swimming around happily. When it was close enough to the Endless Ocean, it jumped onto the shore and transformed into a stunningly beautiful man, standing beside Lung Ruoxue. Master, this is my home. Dolphin said happily. Why is the water here dark green? Lung Ruoxue asked curiously. In her memory, even if the color of the sea water was very dark, it would at most be dark blue. However, the sea water here was so different. Hee. Master, the sea water here is dark green because there is a type of dark green aquatic grass growing on the seabed. Therefore, the sea water is dark green on the surface, but it is still blue when you reach the bottom of the sea. Dolphin number 1 explained. I see. Lung Ruoxue nodded her head after she was clear of the situation. Great Aunt, this dolphin is your beastie? What's wrong? Cheng Xian's eyes had been wide open ever since the beautiful dolphin man appeared, and he finally couldn't help but ask. Aren't you talking nonsense? If beastie isn't master, would I call her master? Before Lung Ruoxue could say anything, the dolphin-like man was already unhappy and said in an unpleasant tone. The dolphin's pretty boy's words made Cheng Xian depressed. Was he talking nonsense? He didn't think so. Seeing the depressed expression on Cheng Xian's face, Lung Ruoxue was already laughing in her heart. However, she still glared at the dolphin-like handsome man without batting an eyelid, in case he became more and more unruly in the future. After all, Cheng Xian was the young master of the Cheng family, and also her friend. She had to give him some face. Master, I'm going to find my old brothers, you guys wait for me here. The beautiful dolphin saw that Lung Ruoxue seemed a little unhappy, and was afraid that she would punish him. He quickly found an excuse to jump back into the sea. Great aunt. I just didn't expect you to take in a sea beast. Cheng Xian explained uneasily after the beautiful dolphin left. He was really too surprised. It should be known that in the divine realm, almost no one would accept a divine beast from the sea as a beast pet. Although they were invincible in the sea, their masters would not live at the bottom of the sea for their entire lives. Therefore, basically, no one would be willing to waste a beast pet slot to accept a sea beast. After all, there was a limit to the number of beast pets they could accept. Of course, he would never have thought that Lung Ruoxue did not have such a restriction. This was just an accident. Lung Ruoxue said helplessly. Her decision to take in that dolphin was indeed a little dramatic, and she had almost gotten into some trouble because of it. However, it was a good thing that all the trouble had been settled. I knew it. Realization dawned on Cheng Xian. In his eyes, Lung Ruoxue was a cunning little fox. For a fox to keep a sea beast that was not of much use on land, there was no other explanation other than an accident. Miss, we caught some fresh fish. Let's roast them for dinner. At this moment, Grape ran over and suggested. Thanks, all right, he said. Lung Ruoxue smiled and nodded. Then she found a large green rock and sat down. At night, Grape and the others, who had been busy the entire afternoon, were ready to roast the fish. At this moment, a strong gust of wind blew across the sea. Following that, a huge black shadow emerged from the sea. A pair of green eyes stared at Lung Ruoxue and the rest as if they were looking at prey. Their eyes were filled with greed and hostility. Heavens! What kind of monster is this? When Lu Tao saw the huge black shadow, she was shocked. Moreover, the surface of the sea was even darker than it had been in the afternoon. Therefore, apart from the pair of green eyes, they could not see the true face of the huge monster. Green Peach. Don't be afraid. I'll protect you. Fengda, who was standing beside Green Peach, said very considerately. This was a good opportunity for the hero to save the beauty. Although the beauty didn't need him to save her, his heart was still there. Hee. Green Peach would definitely be touched. Miss said that it's better to rely on yourself than on others. I can protect myself. You should be careful too. Lu Tao reminded. Then you protect me. Fengda said shamelessly. He was a little disappointed when Green Peach said that he didn't need to protect her. In that case, they might as well change seats. Hee. You're a man. Lu Tao clenched her beautiful face and said through gritted teeth. Isn't it obvious? However, if you want to be sure, I don't mind. Fengda said with a smile. You shut up. Lu Tao's beautiful face was dyed with a touch of shyness, and after receiving everyone's teasing gazes, she really wanted to find a hole to hide in. Woo. This man was acting coquettishly with her in front of everyone. He was really too much. However, after Feng Die's interference, the originally tense atmosphere also relaxed. At this time, the huge black shadow on the surface of the sea was only surprised when everyone first saw it. After that, they actually ignored it. This fact had seriously hurt its self-esteem. Fuck. Why were these despicable humans not afraid of it? Was it not scary? At the thought of this, it let out two whimpers on purpose to intimidate Lung Ruoxue and the others. However, it had clearly underestimated the mental endurance of Lung Ruoxue and the others. They only glanced at it once and did not bother with it. Despicable humans. How dare you? How dare you come to my territory and cause trouble? Seeing that Lung Ruoxue and the rest were ignoring it, the huge black shadow's pride was hurt. It could only reprimand them. Its rough voice had a slight tremble to it. When Lung Ruoxue heard it, she laughed in her heart. Where did this beastie, who was a fox exploiting a tiger's might, come from? He was obviously very scared, but he still pretended to be fierce to scare them. Sigh. This was clearly the behavior of a child. Did we cause any trouble? When Lung Ruoxue heard the words of the huge black figure, she turned around and asked the people around her. No, I didn't. We haven't even started to cause trouble. Fengda replied with a smile. Hey, big guy, did you hear that? We haven't even started to cause trouble. Lung Ruoxue laughed. How audacious. You guys stole so much of my food, and you still dare to say you didn't cause trouble. The huge black figure was obviously very dissatisfied with Lung Ruoxia's words. It roared with a hoarse voice. The moment the roar was heard, huge waves immediately rose up from the sea and pounced towards Lung Ruoxia and the others. Lung Ruoxia and the rest dodged nimbly. Looking at the huge black shadow that was hiding its head and revealing its tail, everyone thought to themselves, is it preparing to fight? Big guy, just talk properly. Why are you playing with water? Lung Ruoxia pretended to be unhappy. Playing with water? I know how to play with water. What's with your eyes? That's clearly my pressure. The huge black shadow roared in anger. Fuck. Its pressure was actually treated as playing with water by others. It was really intolerable. Pressure? If that's really your pressure, then your abilities aren't that great. Fengde said with a look of disdain. Nonsense. I'm the overlord of this area. In this area, no human or beast dared to speak to this lord like this. Humans, you'll be punished by me. The huge black shadow roared angrily, but in his heart, he was thinking about how to deal with these humans. There were too many of them. What was it going to do? Oh really? Oh, wait and see. Fengde didn't take the words of the huge black shadow seriously. In his opinion, if this guy was really a powerful sea beast, he would have attacked long ago. Why would he talk so much nonsense with them? Therefore, he did not take its threat to heart at all. Just you wait. You will regret this. After the huge black shadow finished speaking, it dived back to the bottom of the sea with a loud thunder and a small drizzle. Fengde and the others couldn't react for a long time because of its retreat. Why did it just leave? They were dumbfounded. It shouldn't be like this, right? Chapter 17:12. A Mistake. 1. When Fengde and the others came back to their senses, the sea had returned to its calm state. However, this fact made them quite depressed. They had not yet figured out what kind of monster the Black Shadow was. The Black Shadow had actually dived back to the bottom of the sea, which made them feel like they had punched cotton. They thought that they could have a big fight, but who knew that it would end so silently? Although this little episode made Fengde and the others, who loved to fight, feel a little depressed, it did not affect their mood too much. After the Black Shadow disappeared, they continued to eat dinner. After dinner, Lung Ruoxia took out the house and everyone went in, ready to have a good night's rest. However, in the middle of the night, they were suddenly hit by a kacha sound. Kacha. Awoken by the noise, the group walked out of the room and gathered in the garden. Through a screen of light in the garden, Lung Ruoxia and the others were shocked to find that they were surrounded by a group of crabs the size of millstones and giant prawns waving their large pincers. Many crabs had even climbed up to the roof and were trying to enter the house from above. Miss. The crabs and prawns were so big. We're in for a treat this time. Fengde's eyes lit up when he saw those huge objects. In his eyes, these things were simply delicious food delivered to his door. It would be a waste not to eat it. Hee. It's been a long time since I've eaten these things. I really want to eat them. Lin Yuan also said. Although there were a lot of crabs and prawns in the mist space, they had a large number of people, so they usually didn't dare to eat too much. It should be known that those things were quite rare whether it was on the Sharp Wind continent or the Haotian continent. They couldn't bear to eat them, and it was even more impossible for them to go into the sea to catch them. After all, there were many fierce beasts in the sea. If they were careless, they would lose their lives. But this time, these things came to them on their own initiative. They naturally wouldn't be polite. Seeing the excitement on their faces and hearing their conversation, Cheng Xian could not help but wipe the cold sweat on his forehead. He thought to himself, could it be that these people want to eat these things? Although he was from the divine world, he had never eaten these armored monsters before. Moreover, he did not think that these things that were tied to him were worth eating. However, looking at the expressions of Fengde and the others, they seemed to be quite excited. What was going on? He was very curious, and his heart felt as if there was a cat scratching it. You guys want to eat these iron-armored monsters? Cheng Xian could not help but ask. Yup, this is good stuff. As Fengde spoke, a trace of nostalgia appeared on his face. No one in the divine realm would eat these things. Are you sure they can be eaten? Cheng Xian said in disbelief. Of course they can be eaten. They're all delicious. Feng De looked at Cheng Xian as if he was a monster, as if he had said something he shouldn't have. Feng De's incredulous look also made Cheng Xian's face burn. I haven't eaten it. Cheng Xian's face reddened as he spoke in embarrassment. However, he couldn't help but wonder why he was embarrassed. It's not embarrassing if you haven't eaten it before, right? You guys don't have the good fortune to eat. Feng De looked at Cheng Xian with sympathy. Receiving Feng De's sympathetic gaze, Cheng Xian was depressed. It seemed that it was a little embarrassing to not have eaten it. It's not very popular for people in the divine realm to eat these things. Seeing Cheng Xian's awkwardness, Ning Haolon tried to smooth things over. The truth was he had never eaten it before, so he had to stand on the same side as Cheng Xian at this point. Otherwise, Cheng Xian would not be the only one who would be pitted. Yes. Cheng Xian nodded repeatedly at Ning Haolon's words. Don't worry, you'll have a good meal in a while. Feng De patted their shoulders and comforted them. Thanks. Then he turned to look at Lung Ruoxia. Miss, when are we going out to catch crabs? Are you sure you're going out to catch crabs and not be eaten by these crabs? Lung Ruoxia looked at the increasing number of large crabs and teased with a faint smile. Miss, how can we be eaten by them? If we have to eat, we should be the ones eating them. Feng De corrected him. Oh, then you guys go out and catch them. Lung Ruoxia nodded. After getting Lung Ruoxia's approval, Feng De and the rest did not want to waste any more time. They immediately opened the door and walked out. However, as soon as he stepped out of the house, Feng De felt that he had stepped on something soft. Then his foot seemed to be clamped by something, and he couldn't help but scream in pain. Arg! My foot! When everyone heard Feng De's cry, they lowered their heads in unison, only to find that there was a huge clam between Feng De's feet. The clam was a meter in diameter, and under the moonlight, its shell was a faint pink color. At this time, its two extremely hard shells were tightly clamping Feng De's feet, and the shell was slowly closing. Damn it! Quickly help me get it down. Feng De grimaced in pain and kept swinging his legs, but he couldn't get rid of the giant clam that was closing in. When Lin Yuan and the others saw this, they quickly squatted down to help. A few of them grabbed the two shells of the giant clam and tried to break it open. However, the giant clam did not move at all. No matter how hard they tried, it refused to let go of its shell. Miss! Save me! Help me! Feng De, who was in so much pain that he was about to faint, could only seek help from Lung Ruoxia, who was still in the house, when he saw that Lin Yuan and the rest were helpless. When they heard the voice, Lung Ruoxia and the demon walked out from inside with smiles on their faces. What is this? How many crabs have you caught? Lung Ruoxia raised her beautiful eyes and glanced at the giant crab that was glaring at them. She asked calmly, Miss, not a single one was caught. My foot is caught by a clam. Woo! Feng De sobbed with an aggrieved expression. He could tell that the young lady had come out to see him make a fool of himself. You're too careless. Why didn't you look at your feet when you were walking? As expected, Lung Ruoxia reproached. However, she still had a smile on her face. I didn't notice. Miss, please help me get rid of this thing. It hurts so much. Feng De pleaded. Ooh, this bad-hearted young lady really has no sympathy. He couldn't help but curse in his heart. It's not easy to get rid of this thing. Besides, the more we want to get rid of it, the more it will clamp onto us for self-protection. Why don't you take it with you for the time being? Lung Ruoxia suggested as she looked down at the giant clam. Miss, don't. How can I bring it along, miss? You must have a way. Feng De was so anxious that he was about to cry. Moreover, the place where he was clamped by the giant clam was also in excruciating pain. He was about to break out in cold sweat. I really don't have any good ideas. Unless you don't want this leg anymore. Lung Ruoxia teased Feng De. Chapter 1713, Mistake 2. This won't do. I can't lose my leg. Feng De said anxiously when he heard this. At that moment, everyone present could tell that the young Miss Bad Taste was back. She was just teasing Feng Da. Therefore, they were all smart enough to keep silent. Young miss. Feng Da looked at Leng Ruoxue with resentment. His little face was as pitiful as it could get, and his pitiful look greatly pleased Leng Ruoxue. Ai. Seeing how pitiful you are, I'll think of a way. Leng Ruoxue sighed, and pretended to be in a difficult position. Many thanks, miss. Hearing Leng Ruoxue's words, Feng Da could finally relax. At this moment, Leng Ruoxue squatted down and stretched out her index finger. She bent it and knocked on the clamshell lightly. She then said with certainty, "There must be someone at home." Cheng Xian and Ning Haolan's faces darkened at her words. What did she mean by that? What did he mean by "there's someone at home"? So what if there were people? So what if there were no people? Was she going to get someone to open the door for her? The two of them let their thoughts run wild, but the next second, their guess was confirmed. I know you're at home. Open the door now, or else you won't be able to keep these two doors. Leng Ruoxue threatened. At this moment, the clam that was hiding in its shell did not dare to make any rash moves. This was because it could instinctively sense how terrifying this woman was. Although its strength was not high, its natural instincts were not wrong. Hence, the timid clam could only hide its head and not dare to show itself. After waiting for a while, Leng Ruoxue saw that the mussel did not respond, and was a little angry. In an instant, a small dark purple flame jumped on her white and tender fingertips. The temperature of the flame was extremely high, causing Lin Yuan and the others to take a big step back to avoid being roasted by the flame. The moment Leng Ruoxue's flame appeared, the giant clam, which had been silent, started to tremble uncontrollably. Water vapor started to evaporate from its body. In an instant, the giant clam felt as if its body was on fire, and it started to tremble even more. Little clam, do you want to be roasted by me? Or do you want to open the door? Leng Ruoxue slowly moved the flame on her fingertips closer to the giant clam's body, giving it two choices. However, as soon as she finished her sentence, the giant clam quickly opened its two shells and jumped into the sea as if it was running for its life. The giant clam was still frightened and refused to come out. What a pity. I thought I would be able to eat delicious clam meat. Leng Ruoxue looked at the back of the giant clam and said with regret, Great Aunt, is there anything in this world that you don't dare to eat? Cheng Xian couldn't help but ask. Of course. Leng Ruoxue nodded with a smile. What? Cheng Xian asked curiously. I'm not telling you. Leng Ruoxue laughed evilly. There were many things in this world that she didn't eat. Great Aunt, you're a bad person. Cheng Xian pouted and said in a slightly coquettish manner. Thanks, I've never said that I'm a good person. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. Then she stood up and looked at the cancer that was right in front of her. Since the mussel has run away, I can only have you as my supper tonight. With that, Leng Ruoxue walked towards the giant crab. When the giant crabs and giant prawns with low spiritual intelligence saw Leng Ruoxue approaching, they all instinctively retreated. This was because both Leng Ruoxue and the small flame in her hand made them feel fear. Seeing that they were about to retreat into the sea, Leng Ruoxue stopped in her tracks and said, Don't be afraid, I won't mistreat you. I'll give you a quick death. These words made the giant crabs and prawns run even faster. They ran for their lives in all directions without a care. For a moment it was a mess. In the process of running away, many crabs and prawns bumped into each other. Some directly fainted, and some had broken a few arms and legs. In short, the situation could only be described as chaotic. The crowd stared at the scene in front of them with their mouths agape. They were filled with admiration for Leng Ruoxue, and could not help but think in their hearts, as expected of our family's young miss. This power was extraordinary. He hadn't even made a move. Those shrimp soldiers and crab generals threw away their helmets and armors and fled in all directions. However, in this way, wouldn't they lose their delicious taste? At the thought of this, Feng Da and the others became anxious and shouted, Miss, don't let them run away. At the same time, it pounced on those shrimps and crabs. Seeing this, Cheng Xian rubbed his eyes and thought to himself, are those things really that attractive? He had actually caused Feng Da and the others to go so crazy. Out of curiosity, he and Ning Haolan also charged into the battlefield. After a battle of chasing and hiding, Fongda and the others had a good harvest. They saw a small mountain of shrimp and crabs piled in front of their house. Seeing these fresh seafood, they couldn't wait any longer. They directly started a fire and roasted it over the fire with a wooden stick. Not long after, a fresh smell emerged from the shrimp and crab that were being roasted over the fire. After smelling it, Cheng Xian couldn't help but take a few deep breaths. This smell was indeed delicious. He just didn't know what it would taste like. He was looking forward to it. However, after the prawns and crabs were roasted, Cheng Xian didn't rush to eat them. Instead, he carefully observed Fongda and the others' appearances and started to learn. When the first mouthful of crab meat entered his stomach, Cheng Xian could not help but close his eyes and chew with a satisfied expression. The delicious taste floated in his mouth, leaving him with an endless aftertaste. However, when he opened his eyes and saw that Fongda and the others had each destroyed a giant crab, he couldn't help but feel a little anxious. He didn't care about the aftertaste and quickly ate it. While eating, he took a freshly roasted giant crab and placed it in front of him to show his ownership. Lung Ruoxue chuckled to herself when she saw how protective Cheng Xian was of his food. She did not expect Cheng Xian to have such a cute side to him. However, she was surprised by Ning Haolan's actions because he had learned from Cheng Xian. When he saw her surprised look, he did not feel embarrassed at all. Instead, he was even more at ease. Seeing this scene, Lung Ruoxue sighed from the bottom of her heart. Young Master Ning's heart was still the best. Everyone was eating the supper excitedly. However, just as they were eating happily, a discordant roar sounded in their ears. "Bold human! You actually dared to eat my subordinates." A hoarse voice rang out in the dark night. When everyone heard this voice, they didn't even raise their heads and continued to eat the food in their hands. "Human, I'm talking to you. Don't ignore this lord's existence, alright?" Seeing that no one was paying attention to it, the owner of the voice, the giant monster, could not help but roar again. "Then what do you want? A fellow who doesn't even dare to show his face. Do you expect us to treat you with courtesy?" Lung Ruoxue raised her head and smiled calmly. Chapter 1714. A Mistake 3. In fact, she had long guessed that those shrimps and crabs were related to this monster. Now she had finally confirmed it. They were indeed its people. "You ate my subordinate. You have to give me an explanation." The giant monster roared. "Tape? What do you want tape for? Are you trying to shut your mouth?" Lung Ruoxue laughed evilly, deliberately twisting its words. "Despicable humans. You did it on purpose." The huge monster understood the meaning behind Lung Ruoxue's words and said angrily, "I did it on purpose. What can you do to me?" Lung Ruoxue said nonchalantly and continued to provoke it. "Miss, it doesn't even dare to show its head. What can it do to us? It doesn't even dare to come up, so why waste our saliva talking nonsense with it?" Fongda suggested. Let's ignore it and continue eating." Lung Ruoxue nodded her head in agreement. "Don't eat it. You're not allowed to eat my subordinates." The huge monster roared in anger. However, Lung Ruoxue and the rest were unmoved. They continued to lower their heads and eat the delicacies in their hands. Following that, they heard a kacha. With a loud kacha sound, everyone saw a huge black shadow from the corner of their eyes. It dived out of the sea and came ashore. Then it quickly ran in their direction. Lung Ruoxue and the others laughed in their hearts when they saw this. This idiot had finally taken the bait. When the black shadow ran in, Lung Ruoxue and the others finally saw its true appearance. It was an extremely huge crab with a diameter of 10 meters and a height of 2 meters. It was wearing a black armor that was shining with a faint light. Furthermore, this crab had the strength of a divine lord. When the crab saw that Lung Ruoxue and the others were stepping on the shells of its underlings, anger rose from its heart. Its pitch-black, glossy, and extremely hard shell seemed to be burning with flames, shining with a pink glow. Seeing it like this, Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but recall a classic advertisement from her previous life. "Have you been cooked? I want to take revenge for my subordinates." The large crab said viciously. Its pair of searchlight-like eyes stared at Lung Ruoxue, and the rest as if it was staring at its prey. Big Crab, I can understand how you feel. However, you only have the strength of a monarch god-level cultivator. There are so many of us here. Are you sure you can defeat us? Lung Ruoxue chuckled as she reminded him. I won't let you off. The large crab stammered and did not answer Lung Ruoxue's question directly. In fact, it was afraid that it could not defeat them, so it did not attack. Instead, it went back and found a group of its underlings. Who knew that those underlings were so useless? Before they could attack, they were killed, injured, and many of them became food for the humans. This fact made it extremely furious. However, don't be fooled by its fierce appearance. In reality, it was very timid. However, this time, it had no choice but to stand out. Otherwise, where would it put its face in the endless ocean in the future? How could it convince the masses? What do you want to do to us? Lung Ruoxue was very curious. I want to take revenge for my subordinate. The large crab roared. You've said this before. Tell me the details. Lung Ruoxue reminded him impatiently. The details. The big crab was confused. It didn't know. What could it say? You're so stupid. The specific thing is nothing more than how you want to avenge your subordinate. You have to come up with a plan to deal with us. You can't just come here on a whim like you are now. You're not here for revenge. You're here to give us food. Fengde couldn't help but say in a sincere tone when he saw the big crab's dumbfounded expression. Upon hearing Fengde's words, the big crab suddenly raised his head and looked at Fengde with teary eyes. As if he had found a soulmate, he choked and said, "Human, you really are a good person. You're actually so considerate of me." It was very touched. After living for so long, it had been afraid of being eaten by the enemy every day. It didn't expect that there was still someone in this world who cared about it so much. What was this situation? Seeing the big crab's inexplicable excitement, Fengde was a little dumbfounded. He didn't seem to have said anything that shouldn't be said, right? Why did the crab look like it was going to give itself to him? The more he thought about it, the more afraid he became. Not only him, but the others were also speechless when they saw this scene. Moreover, they had a common question in their hearts. What was this big crab trying to do? However, they soon found out. The big crab looked shy, and his cold eyes looked at Fengde with affection. Then he said, "Human, you're so good, I'm really moved. I've decided I'm going to give my body to you." The big crab's words made Fengde jump in shock. Fuck. This crab was going to repay him with his body just because he said so. This was really too terrifying. Don't be impulsive. I'm not a good person. It's true. Fengde wiped the cold sweat on his forehead and said hurriedly, "You're a good person. I've lived for so long, but I've never met a human who's so considerate of me. So you can't reject me." The big crab was determined to get Fengde, and it said very stubbornly, "But I'm not interested in you. Besides, I already have someone I like. So, I can only disappoint your good intentions." Fengde was so anxious that he broke out in a cold sweat. He couldn't help but look towards Lung Ruoxue and the others for help. However, he was ignored by the crowd who wanted to see him make a fool of himself. Interest can be cultivated. I believe that with my charm, you will accept me one day. The big crab suddenly became confident. To be honest, my favorite food is crabs, so in my eyes you are food. No one will like food. Trust me. Fengde tried to persuade him. Thanks, you can't eat mine. The big crab blinked its eyes and said innocently, "That's hard to say. If I'm hungry one day, I might just treat you as a dish to go with wine. Would you still dare to like me then?" Fengde threatened. Fengde's words made the big crab stare at him for a long time without saying a word. However, just when Fengde thought that the big crab had given up, the big crab said, "I'm not scared. You can't scare me. What do you want?" Fengde was speechless. Why was this crab so insistent on him? "I said I want to repay you with my body," the big crab said with certainty. "Like I said, I already have someone I like." Fengde also said, "So what? I won't fight with her." The big crab said disapprovingly, "That being a third party will be despised by others." At this time, Lu Tao couldn't help but say, she originally wanted to stay out of this world, But she couldn't resist Feng Die's pleading gaze, so she had to speak. What's a third party? And who are you? The big crab asked curiously. She's the woman I like. The mistress is the one who forced herself between us. I'm a human, and I like humans. You're just food in my eyes, so I'll never like you. Feng De couldn't take it anymore and roared. After Feng De finished shouting, the big crab looked at him in a daze, then continued. If you like her, then so be it. There's no conflict with me offering my body to you. She's a human and can't be your beastie, but I can. After he finished speaking, he even looked at Green Peach with a slightly provocative look. Beastie. Feng De blinked his eyes. Did he hear it wrong? This big crab was talking about beastie. Could it be that he wanted to be his beastie? You want to be my beastie? Feng De asked again with uncertainty. You're a good person. I like you. So, I want to be your beastie. The big crab said shyly. After hearing the crab's affirmative answer, Lung Ruoxua and the rest could not help but lower their heads and laugh. After all this crab only wanted to be Feng Die's beastie. In the end, it caused them to misunderstand and caused Feng De to make a huge mistake. If you want to be a beastie, why don't you just say it clearly? Why are you even offering yourself to me? Are you trying to scare me to death? Feng Die's face was hot. Fuck. This was a huge loss of face. Isn't being a beastie the same as repaying with your body? From now on I'm yours. The big crab said matter-of-factly. If you don't know how to use words, then don't use them. How can that be the same? Feng De was very angry, and the crowd couldn't help but laugh loudly when they heard their conversation. Haha. Captain, you guys are too funny. Lin Yuan laughed, and he laughed the most exaggeratedly. He laughed so hard that his stomach hurt, and he was just short of rolling on the ground. What are you laughing at? If you laugh again, I'll throw you into the sea to feed the crabs. Feng De roared in anger. Master, crabs love aquatic grass, not humans. The big crab corrected him with a serious expression. After Lin Yuan and the rest heard this, they laughed even louder. You shut up. No one will think you're mute if you don't speak. Feng De was furious. Master, I'm telling the truth. The big crab felt very wronged. Don't call me master. I didn't agree to take you in. Feng De was about to go crazy. Master, I've decided on you, you can't abandon me. The big crab stretched out its two huge pincers and hugged Feng Die's thigh tightly as it sobbed. Damn it. Quickly let go of me. Feng De ordered. Not letting go. Don't let go. I won't let go even if I die. The big crab hugged him tighter and tighter, so that Feng De would not shake him off. Just like that, the man and the crab began to tug at each other, forming a tug-of-war. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxua shook her head helplessly and sighed in her heart. How did things turn out like this? If she didn't remember wrongly, this big crab was here for revenge, but now it had found a master for itself. Was there anything more dramatic than this in the world? Chapter 17:15. Human. Leave quickly 1. Lung Ruoxua sighed softly. She ignored the man and the crab's tugging and pulling, and immediately brought the demon back to her room. The next morning, when they came out of the room and saw the unconcealed smiles on everyone's faces, suspicion rose in their hearts. After they left last night, did something happen that they didn't know about? Miss, Feng De took that big crab last night. Seeing Lung Ruoxia's confusion, Grape hurriedly explained. Oh, isn't it normal to take in a beastie? However, your expressions are very abnormal. Lung Ruoxua chuckled. Hee. Miss, you'll know when they come out. Grape said mysteriously, the smile on her beautiful face hard to hide. Seeing that the grapes were keeping her in suspense, Lung Ruoxua didn't probe further, and just waited patiently. Fortunately, Feng De didn't make her wait too long. After a while, he walked out of the room with a dark face. But what was that black thing on Feng Die's head? Lung Ruoxua silently wiped the cold sweat off her forehead. In her heart, she couldn't help but feel disgusted by Feng Die's new style. If this was in the world of her previous life, Feng Die's style would definitely not be mainstream. He saw a black crab slightly bigger than an adult's fist on Feng Die's head, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. It was obvious that this was the giant crab's appearance after it mimicked him yesterday. But why did he bring this crab on his head? Could it be that he thought that he looked good like this and wanted to change his image? Just as Lung Ruoxue was feeling puzzled, Grape and the rest could not help but turn around and snicker. Feng Die's face was dark as he went up to Lung Ruoxue and pleaded. Miss, this damn crab just wants to stay on my head, please help me. How do you want me to help you? Lung Ruoxue asked with a face full of curiosity. She laughed in her heart. She knew Feng De wouldn't be like this. So it was because the crab had chosen this position. Could she say that this crab had good taste? The view there was really good. Help me persuade it to come down. Feng De begged. Feng De, I heard that this crab has already recognized you as its master. Since you're its master, you can order it to come down from your head. You don't need me at all. Moreover, compared to you, I'm just an outsider to it. How could it listen to me? Lung Ruoxue reminded. It seemed like Feng De had been so angered by this crab that he had lost his mind. Otherwise, why would he not know how to use his master's authority? Miss, if only it was willing to listen to me. Feng Die's face was bitter as he said helplessly. This crab was extremely stubborn. Once it had decided on something, it would go down the dark path. He didn't have the habit of mistreating his beastie. He couldn't hit it or scold it. After all, it was his beastie, and he still had to dote on it. He didn't know if it was because of this, but this little crab was not afraid of him at all. So he could only swallow this bitter fruit. Sob. He really regretted taking in this guy in his moment of soft-heartedness. Now it had climbed onto his head. It was truly on his head. Even you, the master, can't do anything, so what can I do? You still have to manage your own beastie, no one else can help you. Lung Ruoxue said with a helpless expression. Miss, Feng De deliberately dragged out his voice. His originally shrewd eyes were now glistening, and the mist in them was in danger of falling at any time. I'm not a green peach. It's useless to act pitiful in front of me. Lung Ruoxue unreservedly exposed him. She thought to herself, if the person who acted this way in front of me was a demon, I might have taken pity on him. But it's a pity that he's not. Thanks, miss. Feng De called out resentfully, but was ignored by Lung Ruoxue. Even though Lung Ruoxue ignored Feng Die's plea, she still turned her gaze to the greenish-black crab. She smiled and asked, Little crab, since you've acknowledged my subordinate as your master, you're one of us from now on. You have to answer my questions truthfully. If master's young lady has any questions, please ask. I promise to tell you everything I know. The little crab on Feng Die's head raised one of its pincers and made a solemn vow. This was its master's master. Therefore, it definitely had to please her. Furthermore, after recognizing her as its master, it was very clear of the position this human woman had in its master's heart. Hence, its attitude towards Lung Ruoxue was extremely good. You're a good one. Lung Ruoxue nodded in satisfaction and continued. Little crab, do you know where the secret realm of the endless sea is? A secret realm? The little crab furrowed his brows in a dilemma. His pair of black and bright little eyes rolled around, but in the end he shook his head and said, I've never heard of a secret realm here. Are you sure? Lung Ruoxue confirmed. She could tell that this little crab really didn't know what a mystic realm was. However, the map that Seventh Elder had given her should be correct. After all, this concerned the safety of Godfather and the rest. I really haven't heard of any secret realm here, but recently, the number of powerhouses in the Endless Sea has suddenly decreased by a lot. I heard that they have all gone to a mysterious place, but I don't know where that place is. The small crab said after thinking for a while. A mysterious place? Lung Ruoxue muttered to herself for a moment before realizing that the mysterious place the little crab was talking about could be the mystic realm she was looking for. The number of powerful cultivators in the endless ocean had suddenly decreased, so they must have gone there as well. After all, the mystic realm was on the endless ocean, so it was impossible for the local tyrants here to not have noticed it. However, the little crab was not sure, probably because it was not powerful enough. It seemed like the only way to find out the exact location of the mystic realm was to wait for the little dolphin to return. Master's young lady, do you want me to go back to the sea and ask around? Seeing that Lung Ruoxue was interested in that mysterious place, the little crab quickly tried to please her. All right. Lung Ruoxue nodded. Hee. Then I'll go. Master, you can't give this position to anyone else. Before the little crab left, he looked at Feng Die's head with reluctance and said worriedly. I know, Feng De replied unhappily. He could not help but feel frustrated in his heart. Other than this damned crab, no other beastie would like that position. He would not let any beastie climb over his head either. However, this crab was a different species. It was something that could make him go crazy, but at his wit's end. Fortunately, it was going back to the sea. Master, I'll miss you. The little crab's eyes were brimming with tears as it said with great reluctance. Captain, I didn't think that your relationship would be so deep in just one night. Lin Yuan teased with an envious look on his face. Let's go. Feng De glared at Lin Yuan and urged. I'll be back as soon as possible, master. Don't miss me too much. After the little crab finished speaking, it climbed down from Feng Die's head and looked into his eyes. Then, with a flash of white light, it disappeared into thin air. Chapter 17-16. Human. Leave quickly too, it's such a passionate little thing. After the little crab disappeared, Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but sigh. She was also very out of line because she hadn't forgotten what this crab had come here for. However, it had only been one night, and it was already stuck to Feng De like glue. This made one couldn't help but praise Feng Die's extraordinary charm. Miss, let's not talk about it anymore, okay? Feng De begged with a bitter face. Feng De, it's already your beastie. Even if you don't mention it, you can't change this fact, right? Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. Captain, Miss is right. In fact, I also think that the little crab is not bad. It is loyal to you and cares for you. Where else can you find such a caring beastie? Lin Yuan chuckled and echoed. If you like it so much, why didn't you take it back then? Feng De was furious as he gritted his teeth and said, I want to. It's a pity that he's interested in you. Lin Yuan's face was full of regret. However, in Feng Die's eyes, his regretful expression was a little annoying. This detestable guy was clearly just standing there and talking. Don't think that he didn't know what these people were thinking. They knew that this little crab would never acknowledge them as its master, so they were gloating over his misfortune. This was really too much. Feng De couldn't help but complain in his heart. Lung Ruoxue, who was at the side, took the breakfast from the grapes. As she ate, she watched the two of them bicker. Suddenly, a white light flashed in front of her eyes. Immediately after, the snack in her hand disappeared. In her arms, a delicate and small dolphin appeared. The snack in the dolphin's mouth was the snack that she had just held in her hand. You greedy ghost, you actually dare to snatch something from Master's hands. Lung Ruoxue lowered her head and scolded him with a smile. Master, I'm hungry. The little dolphin's watery eyes looked at Lung Ruoxue without blinking. The tears in its eyes slowly flowed, as if it was waiting for its master to scold it. Aren't dolphins supposed to like to eat fish? When did you become interested in desserts? Lung Ruoxue teased. Master, as a cultivator, of course I have to be an omnivorous animal. I can't be picky about my food. The little dolphin said matter-of-factly. All right then. Omnivorous little dolphin, did you get anything back home this time? Lung Ruoxue asked with a smile. Master, I've brought all my subordinates here. As for the secret realm, there's not much progress at the moment, but I've already left messages for my old friends. They'll naturally inform me if there's any news. The little dolphin said with certainty. Oh, are your old friends not at home? When Lung Ruoxue heard that the little dolphin had left a message, she couldn't help but ask in understanding. To be friends with this little fellow, one's strength had to be at least above the God King stage. Furthermore, the little crab had mentioned that the experts of the endless ocean had all gone to a mysterious place. After some thought, she guessed that the little dolphin's friends had probably gone to the secret realm. However, where in the endless ocean was that secret realm located? Thanks on the map that the seventh elder had given her, the location of the secret plane was only marked with a small red dot, and the surroundings of that small red dot basically belonged to the territory of the endless sea. Therefore, other than knowing that the secret plane was in the endless sea, she knew very little information. No, I didn't. I don't know where they went. Even my friends who don't go out often aren't home. It's really strange. The little dolphin said with a bit of hesitation. It originally thought that as long as it found its friend, it would be able to know the location of the secret realm that its master wanted to go to, but who knew that it would make a wasted trip? This fact made it extremely depressed. I heard from a small crab that the masters of the endless sea have all gone to a mysterious place. However, it doesn't know where it is, so it has already gone to help us find out. Lung Wuxia explained with a smile. Where did this little crab come from? The little dolphin was a little curious. It's our captain's new beast pet. Lin Yuan said as he held back his laughter. Oh, congratulations, you've just arrived at the endless ocean, and you've already received a beast pet. The little dolphin smiled and thought to itself, it seems that the beasts of the endless sea are quite popular. If each of Master's subordinates could take in a beast pet from the endless ocean, and form an army of sea beasts, wouldn't Master be invincible in the sea? It couldn't help but daydream. However, even though it was a sudden thought, it took it to heart. Thank you, he said. Fengde said weakly, his mood quite low. Hee. It would be great if each of you could take in a beast from the endless sea. That way, it would be more convenient for you to go to the bottom of the sea in the future. The little dolphin was so happy that it spoke out its thoughts. However, Lin Yuan and the others were so scared that they broke out in a cold sweat. This is a good idea. I agree. Little Crab has a lot of shrimp soldiers and crab generals under his command. Why don't you take them as your beast pets? When Fengde heard the little dolphin's suggestion, he was immediately pumped up and agreed. Captain, are you afraid we'll be hungry? After hearing Fengde's idea, Lin Yuan was a little speechless. This idea was good? Good my ass. If they each received a crab or shrimp, wouldn't they become a laughingstock? It was more like those shrimp soldiers and crab generals were their food, but how could they be their beast pets? Moreover, many of those guys were not even divine beasts. Such beasts were very unsuitable for them, who had high standards. Therefore, they despised Fengde's idea of dragging them into the water. With that thought in mind, everyone looked at Fengde with contempt, which made Fengde's heart palpitate. The little dolphin, on the other hand, was shocked when it heard their conversation. Beast pets can't be eaten. Moreover, one crab is enough. There are many strong people in the endless ocean. You don't have to collect crabs. The little dolphin naively thought that they liked crabs, so it was a little worried. In fact, according to its original intention, it wanted to introduce its friends to them. As for crabs, it was fine if they didn't want them. Although there were a lot of crabs in the endless sea, it was rare to see strong people. However, there were still benefits in taking crabs as beast pets. Because crabs were social animals, taking in a leader of the crabs was equivalent to taking in a group of crabs. However, if he wanted to keep so many crabs alive, the cost would not be small. The little dolphin's words make sense. We only want to eat crabs and have no interest in taking crabs as beast pets, so one is enough for the captain. If we all take crabs as beast pets, we won't be able to eat such delicacies in the future. Lin Yuan said worriedly. You guys are too disloyal. Don't you know what it means to share good fortune and misfortune together? Fengde roared in anger. Chapter 1717. Human. Leave quickly 3. Captain. We'll definitely think of you when we eat crabs in the future, I promise. Lin Yuan patted his chest and said, Yes. After hearing Lin Yuan's words, everyone nodded. They didn't want to be like Fengde and take in a crab as a beast pet, so this time, they couldn't be in trouble with their captain. Fengde glared at the crowd. He was so angry that he couldn't speak. In the future, if there is an opportunity, I will introduce my friends to you. Their strength is at least equivalent to a human's divine king or above. So, you must not casually accept beast pets. At this moment, the little dolphin's face was filled with worry. Don't worry. Our standards are very high, and we want randomly taken beast pets. Lin Yuan quickly promised after hearing what the little dolphin said. In fact, he was not very interested in sea beasts, but a friend introduced by the little dolphin was better than beast pets such as crabs and prawns. When Feng De heard the little dolphin's words, he was so angry that he almost vomited blood. This dolphin was deliberately going against him, right? He was already depressed enough that he had taken in a crab. Now this dolphin even wanted to introduce its friends to Lin Yuan and the others. It was obvious that its friends would not be small sea beasts like fish, shrimp, and crabs. But why was his life so bitter? The more he thought about it, the more aggrieved he felt. In the end, he looked at the crowd with hidden bitterness and turned to leave angrily. The captain is angry, Lin Yuan said with a smirk. Obviously, none of them took this matter to heart, and no one wanted to coax him. After breakfast, everyone went about their business. 3 days later, the little crab returned from the sea, travel-worn, but the first thing it did was to find its master. The little dolphin finally saw the legendary little crab. However, the little crab was obviously a little afraid when it saw the dolphin. In the living room, lying on Feng Die's head, the little crab peeked at the little dolphin in Lung Ruoxia's arms. It was so scared that its pincers were trembling. Woo! Why is this fellow here? It had never dreamed that it would see this famous demon of the endless sea here. If it had known earlier, it would not have recognized this human as its master, but it was too late to regret now. Little crab, what did you find out? Tell me the truth. The little dolphin lifted its eyelids and said calmly. Even though it was not the strongest among the beasts in the endless ocean, it had a very good reputation. This was mainly due to its cold-blooded nature. However, it had restrained itself a lot in front of Lung Ruoxia. I found it. The little crab stammered and even began to speak incoherently. Stop hemming and hawing, tell me what you found. The little dolphin interrupted the little crab impatiently. In fact, it felt that its attitude was already quite friendly, but the little thing still seemed to be a little afraid of it, which made it very angry. The little crab was very anxious. It wanted to say it quickly, but the more anxious it was, the more it couldn't say it. In its anxiety, it accidentally grabbed a strand of Feng Die's hair, causing Feng De to cry out in pain. Arg! Little crab, are you trying to kill your master? Feng De couldn't take it anymore. He was very angry at this disappointing little crab. This little guy was really useless. Wasn't it just a dolphin? Was there a need to scare it like this? Master, I'm sorry. The little crab was very guilty. Moreover, it seemed to have used too much force just now and had actually pulled off a strand of its master's hair. It couldn't let its master see it, so it had to destroy the corpse quickly. Thinking of this, it quickly put the strand of hair in its claw into its storage space, ready to destroy it when it had the opportunity. When Lung Ruoxia saw little crab's actions of destroying the evidence, she was already laughing in her heart. Although this little crab's strength wasn't high, he was quite good at making them laugh. If they had such a little fellow at home, at least they wouldn't be bored. When little crab saw that his little trick had been discovered by Lung Ruoxia, he smiled at her in an attempt to please her. Then he lowered his head guiltily, not daring to look at her. Little crab, what did you get? Lung Ruoxia knew that the little crab was afraid of the dolphin, so she had no choice but to keep the little dolphin into her bracelet. Thanks, master's young lady. In the past 3 days, I've taken my subordinates to many places and finally got accurate news. Most of the strong people in the endless ocean have indeed gone to the same mysterious place, but very few beasts know about this place. However, I heard that a strong person is currently staying at home. I don't know if he knows where that mysterious place is, but that strong person has a very strange temper. I'm afraid he won't meet you. The little crab explained worriedly. Without the dolphin around, it could speak much more easily. Where does that expert live? Lung Ruoxia asked curiously. Since she could find a powerful cultivator from the endless ocean, she naturally had to go and ask around. Furthermore, no matter how strange that person's temper was, she had to meet him. It lives in a trench in the deepest part of the endless sea. It's located at the bottom of the sea and is quite dangerous. We don't usually dare to go there. Moreover, this master doesn't like to communicate with people, so not many people know about his background. However, everyone knows that he has a bad temper. I remember a shark that accidentally passed by his territory and was almost killed by him. From then on, almost no sea beasts dared to go to that area. In addition, there are many natural dangers in the trenches. Therefore, that place is equivalent to a forbidden land for us. The little crab said with lingering fear. You've been there. Lung Ruoxue raised her brows and asked indifferently. No, I didn't. If I go, I'm afraid I won't be able to live. The little crab said fearfully. It didn't dare to go there. After all, it was a timid crab. Besides guarding its own territory, it rarely went out. Even so, there were often beasts who came to bully it. If it did not have so many subordinates, its territory would have been taken away long ago. Oh, little crab, you've worked hard these past few days. Go back and rest first. Lung Ruoxue nodded. Fengde didn't even give the little crab a chance to speak before he left with it. After they left, Lung Ruoxue summoned the little dolphin. Little dolphin, you heard what that little crab said, right? Do you know the expert it's talking about? Lung Ruoxue asked directly. I've heard of it. It has a bad temper and rarely interacts with the beasts of the endless ocean. However, it is a very mysterious existence and has a very high status in the endless ocean. When I heard of it, I was still very young. The elders in my clan told me about it. And the reason for telling us was naturally to prevent us from being blind and provoking it. The little dolphin explained. What if I want to find it and ask for some information? Lung Ruoxue chuckled as she asked. Master, if it doesn't want to see you, then it's fine, but if it gets angry and attacks us, our chances of winning aren't high. When the little dolphin heard Lung Ruoxue's words, it asked worriedly. The sea was the world of the sea beasts, and human experts had no advantage at the bottom of the sea. Moreover, that expert's strength was unfathomable. When the elders in the clan mentioned that elder to it, they were all very cautious. From this, it could be seen how terrifying that expert's strength was. Therefore, it did not really agree with its master going to find that mysterious expert. I just want to ask it something. It won't be unreasonable. Lung Ruoxue said indifferently. Master, you want to reason with beastie? The little dolphin looked at Lung Ruoxue in a daze. The first rule of the beast law was that the strong were respected. Whoever had the tougher fist would have the final say. If you had the time to reason with beastie, why not fight them? If he won, everything would be easy. This was how beastie did things, simple and clear. As for infighting and such, it was not suitable for most beastie. Since the other party is an expert from the endless ocean, there should be some reason. Lung Ruoxue said confidently. The little dolphin couldn't help but wipe the cold sweat on its forehead. It really didn't know where its master got such confidence from. It should be known that in its eyes, most beasts would not reason with humans because they didn't trust humans at all. Little dolphin. It's better to hit the jackpot than to pick another day. Let's set off now. Lung Ruoxue said without any hurry. After she finished speaking, she left the house with the evildoer. After they left, she kept the house back into her bangle and sat on the back of the little dolphin with the evildoer. When the little dolphin saw this, it laughed bitterly and helplessly. Then, with a gentle wave of its front fin, a transparent light enveloped Lung Ruoxue and the demon. Following that, it dove into the depths of the sea. Lung Ruoxue and the demon sat on the back of the little dolphin. There was a light shield protecting them from the outside. The two of them looked around as if they were sightseeing. The deeper they went into the sea, the less light there was. Furthermore, this time, there were no fish surrounding them out of curiosity. Lung Ruoxue could not help but sigh when she saw this. This was indeed a different species of diving from her previous life. As they neared the trench, the little dolphin was about to continue diving when suddenly, a warning sounded out of nowhere. Human, quickly leave. Chapter 17-18. The mysterious poison 1. The voice was ancient and deep, and there was a hint of pressure in the voice, which was very frightening. The little dolphin's body trembled uncontrollably when it heard the voice. From this, it could be seen how powerful the voice was to the beasts in the sea. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxue patted the little dolphin's smooth back to comfort it. Then, her beautiful eyes looked towards the pitch-black trench and said softly, "Senior, I have an important matter to discuss with you." Since this powerful being had already issued a warning, she naturally wouldn't let the little dolphin get close. However, she had to see this mysterious powerful being, so she could only ask it to come out. "Human, leave quickly, or else don't blame me for being merciless." The owner of the voice warned again, but he had no intention of coming out. "Senior, I have an important matter to discuss with you," Lung Ruoxue said stubbornly. If this fellow wasn't the strongest expert in the ocean, she wouldn't be so thick-skinned as to stay here. Since she was here, she naturally didn't want to leave empty-handed. What can a human want to see me for?" The owner of the voice snorted coldly, clearly not believing Lung Ruoxue's words. "Senior, I would like to ask you about something. This matter is related to the safety of the powerhouses of the endless ocean, so I hope you can come out and meet me." Lung Ruoxue coaxed him patiently. "Ha ha ha. Little girl, although you have a glib tongue, what does the other strong men of the endless ocean have to do with me? I've always been a loner." The owner of the voice mocked. "Senior, I'm not trying to scare you, but if all the masters of the endless ocean die, then the endless ocean will fall into the hands of others. At that time, I'm afraid that even a lone master like you will be enslaved. Is this what you want?" Lung Ruoxue provoked him on purpose. Although her words were a little exaggerated, it might become a reality. The reason why she said all this was because she hoped that this mysterious expert would have some scruples. Even if it wasn't for others, he should at least do something for his own freedom. "Little girl, I'm not someone who gets scared," the owner of the voice said calmly. "Senior, I'm not trying to scare you. I believe that Senior should have heard of the 8 great divine domains of the divine realm. To tell you the truth, the powerhouses of the 8 divine domains and several major guilds have all gone missing along with the powerhouses of the endless sea. If they all die, have you thought about what the divine world will become?" In order to gain the trust of this mysterious expert, Lung Ruoxue could only reveal a little more information. After all, from her point of view, even if one wanted to clean up the snow in front of their own door, they had to consider whether the environment they were living in was stable or not. Otherwise, their freedom would probably be taken away, let alone the opportunity to clean up the snow in front of their door. And this endless sea, without the protection of the powerhouses of the ocean, the endless ocean will fall into the hands of others sooner or later. At that time, I'm afraid that Senior's peace will be destroyed," Lung Ruoxue added. However, after Lung Ruoxue said all this, the mysterious expert did not respond. Could that guy have fallen asleep? Lung Ruoxue thought to herself. She didn't know if her words would be of any use to this powerful being. If this fellow didn't run out of ideas and was still the same, she was afraid that her words would have been in vain. So now, she could only hope that this fellow still had a little sense of crisis. Moreover, she didn't want it to save the divine world. She only wanted to ask it some questions. After all, it was the most ancient and mysterious existence at the bottom of the sea. After a long while, the voice came again. "Little human girl, what do you want to know?" The voice sighed and asked. "Senior, I've heard that a secret realm has appeared in the endless sea. I want to know its exact location. I wonder if Senior can tell me." Lung Ruoxue suppressed the joy in her heart and pretended to be calm as she asked. The reason why she had directly asked for the location of the mystic realm and not asked the Senior if he had heard of the mystic realm was because she was afraid that she would give the Senior an excuse to reject her. If he replied that he didn't know, she would be at her wit's end. Therefore, she didn't plan to make a wasted trip no matter what. "Thanks, little girl. Are you planning to go to the secret realm?" The owner of the voice asked indifferently. "Yes, I am." Lung Ruoxue nodded. "Little girl, I advise you not to go. Any mystic realm is not as beautiful as people think. If you go to a mystic realm with your strength, Let's not talk about whether you can get treasures, but if you go, it's hard to say if you can come out alive. Don't think about those unrealistic things. The mysterious expert said in a heavy tone. Senior, I'm not going to the secret realm for the treasure. Lung Ruoxue replied helplessly. Could it be for the safety of the divine realm? The mysterious powerhouse chuckled. Just now this little girl wanted to ask him about some things, and she was using the banner of the divine realm's safety. Although he also attached great importance to the divine realm's safety, he did not think that such a weak little girl could play any great role in the divine realm's safety. Therefore, he was certain that this little girl was only going to the mystery realm to search for treasures. I'm going to the secret realm to find my godfather. Lung Ruoxue said honestly. Looking for a godfather? Little girl, no matter why you want to go to the secret realm, I suggest you don't go. Your strength is not enough there. The mysterious expert sighed. Senior, I naturally have my own means of self-protection after entering the secret realm, so you don't have to worry. Lung Ruoxue said confidently. All right then. Since you insist on going, I'll tell you the location of the secret plane. The mysterious man said helplessly. He had a good impression of this little girl. Unfortunately, she refused to listen to his advice. Forget it. Let her be. Many thanks, Senior. When Lung Ruoxue heard this, she heaved a sigh of relief in her heart. No matter what, she finally knew the location of the mystic realm. That secret realm is very close to me. Do you see my trench? If we follow this trench, the secret plane will be 10,000 meters ahead. The mysterious expert said. Thank you, Senior. We're sorry to disturb you. After Lung Ruoxue finished speaking, she secretly ordered the little dolphin to leave this place. Although she really wanted to go directly to the mystic realm from here, she decided to take a detour after considering that this mysterious expert was not easy to get along with. After all, he had already told her the location of the secret realm, so she couldn't not know what was good for her. Seeing that they were about to turn back, the mysterious expert said, Little girl, you can go directly from here. There's no need to take a detour. The mysterious man's words made the little dolphin, who was about to turn around, extremely surprised. When did this old man become so easy to talk to? He actually allowed them to pass through here. This fact was somewhat inconceivable. Could it be that his master's charm was so great that even this old goo was attracted? It couldn't help but wonder. Thank you, Senior. Lung Ruoxue expressed her gratitude once again. Chapter 1719. The Mysterious Poison too, Senior. We're going over. The little dolphin reminded them softly before they were about to cross the deep trench. After that, it quickly crossed the daunting trench like an arrow leaving the bow. Not long after they left, a pair of huge, cold eyes slowly opened from the depths of the trench. Then, a light flashed and everything returned to calmness. Lung Ruoxue sat on the little dolphin's back and felt the little dolphin's light-like speed. She couldn't help but laugh in her heart. This little fellow was too timid. Looking at its burning butt, it was as if they would be eaten by the mysterious expert if they were to leave a little later. In fact, from her point of view, the mysterious expert was also a reasonable person. At least he didn't make a move at the beginning, and even told them the location of the trench. Just based on this point alone, in Lung Ruoxue's heart, that expert was not an unreasonable person. Master, you've only been in contact with it once, so you naturally don't know how terrifying it is. The little dolphin, who understood Lung Ruoxue's thoughts, said with a lingering fear. It was born in the endless ocean and had heard many of that person's glorious deeds. Therefore, it was afraid of that person from the bottom of its heart. However, it did not expect that the powerful cultivator would be so easy to talk to. Other than asking them to leave at the beginning, he did not make things too difficult for them. This was something that surprised it. Could it be that you've been in contact with it many times? Lung Ruoxue asked, pretending to be surprised. No, I didn't. It's my first time too. The little dolphin said, a little embarrassed. If that's the case, how can you just hear rumors? You must know that rumors stop at the wise. The information heard from others is far less accurate than the confirmation from one's own hands. Lung Ruoxue smiled as she reminded him. I know, but the elders of my clan told us about it. They wouldn't lie to us, right? The little dolphin said, a little unconvinced. Haha. Of course, your clan's elders wouldn't lie to you. But they might exaggerate the truth. You should know that things like rumors will always get more and more outrageous the more they spread, so it's best to verify it yourself. Lung Ruoxue laughed. But there are many strong people in the endless sea who have been beaten by it. Moreover, I know some of them. What do you say? The little dolphin continued. Did they say why they were beaten up? If we were beaten up just because we entered that senior's territory, why weren't we beaten up when we went there just now? Lung Ruoxue retorted. One-sided words could not be trusted. This. The little dolphin was speechless because it knew a strong person who did say that he was beaten up when he went to the strong person's territory. Now it seemed that his words were not without water. Little dolphin. We humans have a saying, what you hear is false, but what you see is true. So no matter when and where, don't believe one-sided words. It's very easy to be misled, and you won't be able to make an accurate judgment. However, sometimes, what you see with your own eyes may not be true. Lung Ruoxue sighed. Then what do we do? The little dolphin was a little dumbfounded. Wasn't Master's words a little contradictory? Believe in your own feelings. Lung Ruoxue said softly. I only acknowledged Master as my master, because I believed in my own feelings. The little dolphin said smugly. Don't be so smug, let's hurry. Seeing that the little dolphin was starting to show off, Lung Ruoxue helplessly urged. Thanks, Master. You have to believe in my speed. We'll be able to reach the secret realm in an hour at most. After the little dolphin finished speaking, it began to sprint at full speed. Just as it had expected, they finally arrived at the secret realm after an hour. The entire secret realm was in the middle of an endless ocean, surrounded by deep blue seawater. There was a dazzling screen of light at the entrance of the secret realm, and from the screen of light, a trace of dense spiritual energy could be seen. There were many sea beasts gathered around the secret realm, but they were not very powerful, so they could only watch from afar, not daring to take a single step closer. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxue could not help but sigh. It seemed that animals had the strongest sense of danger, especially beasts with low power. You come over here. The little dolphin pointed at a giant sea turtle with its front fin. When the sea turtle heard the little dolphin's words, it trembled and swam over. It only had the divine power of a 5th-grade sacred beast, so it didn't dare to disobey the little dolphin's words. What are your orders, my lord? The sea turtle said in a muffled voice. There was a slight tremble in its voice, and it was obvious that it was afraid of the little dolphin. Let me ask you, how long has this secret realm been here? The little dolphin said unhappily. It was very angry. Such a secret realm had appeared in the endless sea. As the local snake of the endless sea, it had no news at all. This fact made it quite embarrassed. Not even a year. The turtle replied very honestly. Its home was nearby, so it knew as soon as the secret realm appeared. Although the aura inside was very attractive to it, it did not dare to take a step in. Then why don't you guys go in? When the little dolphin heard the time, the anger in its heart subsided a lot. However, it was still angry because its subordinates did not know the location of this mystic realm, which still made it feel embarrassed. We're too weak to go in, the sea turtle said. In fact, they saw that many powerful people had gone in, so they did not dare to go in. The reason why they stood still here was that they wanted to wait for the powerful people to leave before they went in to pick up the things that they had missed. They might have missed out on some good things. It was with this idea that the weaker sea beasts had gathered here. Therefore, the location of the secret realm was not widely known in the endless ocean. Then do you know who went in here? The little dolphin asked again. I saw a lot of humans go in, and some of the powerhouses of our endless sea also went in. The turtle told him the truth. Then did you see any of my dolphin race enter? The little dolphin continued to ask. In order to find out more about the secret realm, It had returned to the clan before, but it found that the elders in the clan were not around. Moreover, the other clan members had never heard of the secret realm. Now that it thought about it, it was very likely that the elders of the clan had come here. I saw it. The sea turtle hurriedly said. The dolphin clan was a large clan in the endless ocean, and they had many powerful people. Although their sea turtle clan had more people than the dolphin clan, they could not be compared to the dolphin clan in terms of strength. Otherwise, they would have entered a long time ago. Master, let's go in quickly. After hearing the turtle's words, the little dolphin said worriedly. As Lung Ruoxia's beastie, it naturally knew that its master was suspicious of this mystic realm. Hence, after knowing that its clansmen were also inside, it became even more worried. Chapter 1720. The Mysterious Poison 3. When the sea turtle heard the adult dolphin call a human its master, it widened its black bean-like eyes in disbelief and stared at Lung Ruoxia without blinking. Good boy. This human is so powerful. He had actually taken in a dolphin as his beast pet. One must know that the dolphin race was one of the kings of the endless sea, and were famous for their pride. Therefore, he had never dreamed that he would be able to see a dolphin that recognized a human as its master in his lifetime, which made him very surprised. Let's go in. Lung Ruoxia ignored the thoughts written on the turtle's face and nodded with a smile. After receiving Lung Ruoxia's order, the little dolphin didn't even look at the sea turtle, and immediately rushed into the light screen. When the sea turtle saw this scene, its respect for the little dolphin immediately rose to a new height. As expected of the great dolphin. He's so courageous, the turtle thought to itself. It didn't dare to rush in like this. Then it slowly swam back to its original position, calmly retracted its head into its turtle shell, and closed its eyes to rest. The little dolphin brought Lung Ruoxia and the demon into the mystic realm, and immediately stopped. Lung Ruoxia and the demon jumped down from its back, and started to size up the mystic realm. This mystical realm. How should he put it? Everywhere she looked was filled with the chirping of birds and the fragrance of flowers. The scenery was pleasant, and the spiritual chi inside was unbelievable. However, Lung Ruoxia felt a sense of disharmony. She did not know why she felt this way, but in short, this mystic realm gave her a very strange feeling. However, it was a good thing that the scenery in this secret realm was not bad. At least it would not pollute her eyes. After some thought, Lung Ruoxia moved Ning Haolan and the others out of the house. This is the secret realm? Ning Haolan and the others searched the area after they came out. Lung Ruoxia nodded and reminded. Be careful, everyone. Miss, it's quite beautiful here. Sueju said with some excitement. Her beautiful eyes looked here and there. Wretched girl, stop embarrassing yourself, all right? The scenery here is just ordinary. Lu Tao said with some disappointment, but she couldn't help but feel disgusted in her heart. No matter how good this place was, could it be compared to the young Miss Space? Therefore, this place was not worthy of her attention. However, there were outsiders present, so there were some things she couldn't say clearly. I know. I'm just a little surprised. Sueju lowered her head in embarrassment, her cheeks blushing. At this time, she suddenly saw a flower she had never seen before from the corner of her eye. The flower was the size of a palm, and the petals were red. The overlapping petals looked unusually beautiful. What beautiful flowers! Sueju exclaimed and ran forward, picking the flower and playing with it in her hand. Be careful. Lung Ruoxia, who felt that something was amiss, quickly reminded him. When she first entered this place, she had already sized up the entire place. She did not see any flowers at all, so she was very suspicious of the flowers that had suddenly appeared. However, her warning was too late. At the same time, the flower in Quiza's hand suddenly transformed into a red snake as thick as a finger and bit Quiza's snow-white wrist. Immediately after, a red light flashed and the red snake disappeared. Sueju also fainted. All of this happened in the time it took for a spark to fly off a piece of flint. Within a few short seconds, everything was over. It was so fast that Lung Ruoxia and the rest could not react in time. By the time they could react, Sueju had already fainted. Everyone rushed to Quiza's side and helped her sit up. They looked nervously at Sueju, whose face was getting paler and paler. They were all worried. Looking at Quiza's appearance, they knew that she had been poisoned, but they did not know what poison it was. Miss, is Sueju all right? Lu Tao asked carefully as she looked at Lung Ruoxue, who was examining Sueju. Her poison is very strange. To be honest, I don't know what kind of poison it is. Lung Ruoxue said helplessly after checking. Miss, what should we do then? Lu Tao was extremely worried. Since her young miss had said so, it meant that she definitely did not know. If even her young miss could not save Sueju, then wouldn't Sueju be? One must know that Lung Ruoxue was omnipotent in her heart. However, now that her young miss said that she had no way to cure this poison, her heart could not help but sink bit by bit. She had always treated Sueju as her younger sister. If Sueju, she did not dare to think further. Even though Lung Ruoxue was at a loss on what to do with this poison, she still gave Sueju an antidote pill. She just didn't know if the antidote pill would be able to cure Quiza's strange poison. After all, the antidote pill wasn't omnipotent. Some special poisons needed a specific antidote to be cured. Thanks then, she moved her little red snake out of the bracelet. Little Fire, take a look at the poison in the bamboo and see if you have any way to cure it. Lung Ruoxue ordered. There were at least 1,000 types of poison in Xiaohe's body. She hoped that it could recognize the poison in Quiza's body, so that she could concoct the antidote. Oh, Xiaohe nodded its little head, then climbed onto Quiza's body and sniffed it. Then it said to Lung Ruoxue very seriously, Girl, I don't know what kind of poison she's been poisoned with. Why don't I bite her a few times and see if I can use poison to attack poison? Xiaohe's suggestion caused Lung Ruoxue to shake her head. Using poison to attack poison wasn't suitable for all poisons. Hence, she didn't dare to take the risk. You can't even tell what poison she's suffering from. It seems that the snake that bit Sueju is much more powerful than you. At this time, Cheng Xian looked at Xiaohe with a look of disdain and made sarcastic remarks. In fact, he had met this little guy once, but this little guy was very unfriendly to him. The moment they met, he said that he wanted to bite him and that his poison could not be cured by others. Therefore, he had taken the opportunity to take a little revenge. You demoness! What nonsense are you spouting? Do you want me to bite you? Let me tell you, it wasn't a snake that bit Sueju, because it wasn't snake venom in her body. If it's snake venom, I wouldn't be so helpless. Lil Fire roared furiously. If it was not for Lung Ruoxue holding it back, it would have rushed up to bite Cheng Xian. Dead Renyao? Cheng Xian was stunned when he heard this form of address. Although he didn't know the meaning of this word, it didn't sound like something good, so his anger rose. You damn snake. It was clearly a snake that bit the bamboo, but you said it wasn't snake venom. It can't be that you're so ignorant that you can't tell. Cheng Xian retorted impolitely. Fuck. Would I not know if it's a snake or not? I'm a venomous snake ancestor. No one is more venomous than me. Lil Fire shouted back at the top of its lungs. Everyone looked at the man and the snake, who did not care about their image, and roared. They could not help but feel angry. They did not look at the place and the situation when they quarreled. Now that Quiza's life and death were unknown, they started quarreling first. Zai, what the hell is this? All of you shut up. If you continue to argue, I'll throw you into the house. Lung Ruoxue's beautiful eyes swept across the human and snake as she spoke coldly. The moment she said this, the human and snake instantly fell silent. Great aunt. I was wrong. Cheng Xian lowered his head and quickly admitted his mistake. Girl, I was wrong too. Lil Fire was also very perceptive as it said. It was not easy for it to come out, and it did not want to go back so quickly. They won't quarrel anymore? Lung Ruoxue raised her brows and asked indifferently. I won tea. He wouldn't tea. We're actually on very good terms. Cheng Xian said with an ingratiating smile. After he finished speaking, he even extended a hand to stroke Xiaohe's cold little head to show his friendliness. Although Lil Fire was extremely unwilling to be touched, in order to show that they had a good relationship, he could only resist the urge to bite and let Cheng Xian touch him. Remember your words. If I ever find out that your relationship is not as you say, don't blame me. Lung Ruoxue feigned anger as she warned. Great aunt. I have a very close relationship with Little Fire. In order to prove his words, Cheng Xian even specially took Little Fire from Lung Ruoxue's hands and kissed its head. Instantly, Little Fire was in a mess. Fuck. This damn transvestite actually kissed it. It wanted to vomit. He did not know if this fellow was clean or not. As long as Xiaohua thought about how it had been kissed by a man, it would be so angry that its little body would tremble. If it was not afraid that Lung Ruoxue would be angry, it would definitely teach this human a lesson. One had to know that not just anyone could kiss it. And the unlucky Cheng Xian still didn't know that because of his kiss, he had already made a little snake hate him. Lung Ruoxue saw that Cheng Xian had gone to such lengths to prove his relationship with Lil Fire, so she didn't want to argue with him. After keeping the unconscious emerald green bamboo into the bracelet and handing it over to Qingju, Lung Ruoxue then said to everyone, "Let's go. Be careful, this is just the beginning." Quizz's injury made her feel a little heavy. However, this also strengthened her idea of finding out the truth about this mystic realm. Perhaps she could cure the poison in Quizz's body by then. Everyone nodded. At the same time, they became even more vigilant. Everyone continued to move forward. Other than the flowers and grass on the side of the road, they didn't find the shadow of a human or beast. Even when the sky in the mystic realm was getting dark, they still didn't find anything. After finding a spacious area, Lung Ruoxue took out the house and placed it on the ground. Then the group walked in. After dinner, the rest of them went to bed early. However, Lung Ruoxue pulled the demon to sit in the garden and observed every movement in the mystic realm through the light screen. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.